Every night, when the world softens and your thoughts begin to drift, the universe reveals itself in a way that daylight never allows. And tonight, as you settle into stillness, imagine looking back at Earth from far away, so far that our entire world becomes nothing more than a tiny blue dot resting in a quiet sea of darkness. Everyone you have ever known, every story ever told, every sunrise and gentle memory, all of it contained within that fragile sphere of blues and greens floating in the vastness. In a universe so immeasurable, the fact that we can even see ourselves from such a distance feels like a small miracle of perspective. Welcome to AstraFlow. Here, science drifts like starlight, and curiosity becomes calm. Tonight, let your thoughts slow down, your breathing find its rhythm, and your mind float through wonder. Before we begin, I'd love to know where you're listening from. Are you lying in bed under city lights, or watching the stars from somewhere quiet? Tell me in the comments. It's always peaceful to imagine the AstraFlow community scattered across the world, drifting together through the same sky. And if this calm journey brings you peace, you can gently support AstraFlow by liking this video or subscribing. It helps this little corner of the cosmos keep glowing. Now let's begin tonight's voyage into the quiet story of how big the universe truly is. Imagine, just for a moment, that your mind becomes a soft lens, rising slowly above Earth's curve. You leave behind city roads, distant oceans, familiar clouds, until Earth becomes small enough to cradle in thought. You hover in a silence that has existed for billions of years, a silence so complete it feels like a warm blanket, soft and endless. From this distance, our planet looks both impossibly small and profoundly precious. The intensity of daily life fades into something gentle. The noise of the world becomes a whisper, and you begin to sense the universe the way astronauts describe it, not as a cold, empty void, but as a vast, calm ocean, where every point of light is a lighthouse glowing across unimaginable distances. Tonight, we will drift outward through this ocean. We will move slowly like breath, past the moon's pale glow, past the sun's quiet storm of fire, past drifting planets and the far blue shimmer of Neptune. We will follow Voyager 1, humanity's little messenger, as it wanders beyond the edge of our solar wind. Then we will drift farther, into the deep dark between stars, toward Alpha Centauri, where distances grow so large they begin to dissolve meaning itself. We will rise above the Milky Way's spiraling arms, float through the local group, cross continents of galaxies, and finally stand at the edge of the observable universe. A horizon not of distance but of time, and through all of it you are safe, held by the rhythm of your breath and the slow unfolding of the cosmos. So as we begin this journey through scale and stillness, let yourself exhale softly, let your thoughts loosen, let your curiosity move gently, like a feather floating through starlight. Tonight, you do not need to reach the end. You're simply drifting, and the universe will drift with you. The question arrives softly, almost like a whisper in the dark. How do you measure something that may not have an edge at all? It is a question humanity has carried for centuries, and yet it still feels as fresh, as delicate, as the first starlight that touched human eyes. When we look upward, we see points of light scattered across a black canvas. But the canvas itself? That is where the mystery begins. Most things in our world have boundaries. A room ends at a wall. A forest ends at a field. Even the oceans, vast as they are, eventually meet a shore. But the universe stretches in ways our minds were never built to hold. It expands. It flows. It stretches the fabric of distance itself. And tonight, as you rest, we're going to explore this immensity not with urgency, but with ease. As if the cosmos were unfolding at the pace of your breath. Let your shoulders soften, Let your jaw unclench, drop into the simple comfort of being here, listening. Because the universe is not something to conquer or comprehend in one moment. It is something to experience slowly, gently, like walking through a quiet museum of ancient light. When astronomers ask, "How big is the universe?" what they are really asking is, "How far can light travel? How far can the past reach us? And what parts of existence are forever beyond our view?" Already this begins to feel different from normal questions. It is not like asking how tall a mountain is, or how deep an ocean goes. It is asking how far reality stretches when even reality is still growing. Imagine holding a small lantern in a completely dark room. The light pours outward, filling the space around you, illuminating a little more with every passing moment. The longer the lantern glows, the farther the light travels. In many ways, the universe works the same way. The longer it exists, the more its light spreads, revealing a larger and larger cosmic horizon. But unlike a room, the universe is not sitting still. The fabric of space is stretching, slowly in some regions, rapidly in others, and in places so distant that they race away from us faster than light can ever catch. Not because they break the rules of physics, but because space itself is expanding beneath them like a cosmic tide. Take a slow breath in. Let it fall out gently. Feel the way expansion mirrors your own rhythm. The rise, the stretch, the release. Everything in nature moves in cycles, and the universe is no different. So before we drift outward, before we leave Earth behind and begin our long, quiet voyage through distance, we pause with this simple, profound wondering. If the universe is expanding, if its edges move faster than light, if some parts are forever slipping beyond our reach, can we ever truly know how big it is? Tonight, we will try, not to answer fully, but to touch the edges of the mystery with calm curiosity. Because the beauty of the universe is not that we understand it completely, but that it invites us to keep drifting deeper into wonder. Now, let us take our first gentle step outward. Before we drift outward into the great dark, it helps to hold a soft, simple map in your mind. Not the kind with sharp lines or rigid boundaries, but one drawn in faint strokes of starlight. A map that doesn't demand precision, only presence. Tonight, we follow that map the way a traveller follows a river, slowly, steadily, without hurry. Begin with the place beneath you. Earth, warm, familiar, breathing with life. A world wrapped in blue oceans and drifting clouds. This is where every journey begins, even journeys through the cosmos. And from here, our path unfolds like a quiet spiral. First the moon, our gentle companion, circling us like a silver lantern in the night. Then the sun, the great glowing heart of our solar system, so distant and yet so essential, sending us warmth that has travelled 8 long minutes through space just to touch our skin. Beyond it lie the drifting stones and wandering worlds, Mars, the red beacon, Jupiter, the giant wrapped in storms, Saturn wearing rings as thin as whispers, Uranus and Neptune, pale blue ghosts in the cold. Farther still, beyond where sunlight holds any warmth, we meet Voyager 1, humanity's little messenger, continuing its lonely trek into interstellar night. And at the farthest edge of our sun's influence waits the Oort cloud, a frozen halo stretching almost 2 light-years across, a reminder that our solar system is far larger and far emptier than it seems. But our map does not stop there. Outside this icy boundary lies the quiet between stars, a place so vast that distance is no longer counted in kilometres or even astronomical units, but in light years, each one a measure of how far light travels in a single year of cosmic patience. Our nearest star, Alpha Centauri, lies over 4 light-years away, so distant that even our fastest spacecraft would need tens of thousands of years to reach it. Just this one step outward stretches the imagination, but our journey continues. Beyond the nearest stars rises the shimmering disk of the Milky Way, a galaxy so wide that even light, the fastest thing in existence, would need 100,000 years to cross it. Within its arms, billions of suns burn quietly, each with its own stories, its own worlds, its own silent skies. Farther still, we join the local group, a small family of galaxies drifting together through intergalactic darkness, and beyond that, the Virgo supercluster, the Laniakea supercluster, and the vast cosmic web, a lacework of galaxies stretching across hundreds of millions of light years. Eventually, we arrive at the outer boundary of what we can see, the edge of the observable universe, a sphere of ancient light reaching us from nearly 14 billion years ago. Beyond that, no one truly knows. Perhaps space continues forever. Perhaps it bends back on itself. Perhaps there are regions of reality we will never reach, drifting away faster than light can ever chase. For now, though, this soft starlit map is enough. It holds the journey ahead, from the moon's gentle glow to the cosmic horizon itself. And as you lie here, breathing slowly, your mind can drift through it with ease. There is no need to remember every detail. Just feel the direction of the flow, the widening of scale, the calm expansion of perspective. Tonight, we will follow this map step by step, like walking through a dream where every path leads a little farther into wonder. Before we drift outward into the vastness, let us pause one last time beside the world we know best. Not from the ground, where cities glow and oceans breathe and memories gather like quiet constellations, but from afar, far enough that Earth becomes small, delicate, and impossibly precious. Imagine yourself rising gently through a soft, weightless sky. Clouds fade beneath you like slow-moving brushstrokes. Continents blur. Oceans blend into deep blues, and the familiar curves of home soften into a single round shimmer of colour. With every breath you drift higher, until Earth is no longer a landscape but a glowing bead suspended in blackness. From this vantage point something shifts inside you. The noise of daily life loosens its grip. The urgency of the world below dissolves into a kind of spacious calm. You see the planet the way astronauts describe it when words fail them, a fragile sphere wrapped in thin light, surrounded by quiet. A place where love has been felt, songs have been sung, and countless small moments have unfolded unnoticed yet meaningful. Carl Sagan once called it a pale blue dot, and from this distance the phrase feels truer than ever. It is not just the size that humbles you, it is the intimacy. Every memory you hold, every person you've met, every story that has ever existed lives in this tiny floating world. And yet, even as you take in its beauty, you begin to sense something else, a spaciousness that stretches far beyond it, a quiet invitation from the darkness that surrounds our home. Not cold, not frightening, just vast, a canvas waiting to unfold. Let your breathing fall into a slow rhythm, in and out, as gentle as the turning of the planet below you. From up here, distances begin to take on new meaning. The moon, once a distant silver lantern in the sky, now hangs nearby, only a short drift away in the black. The sun, the warm heart of everything we know, glows far off in the distance, its rays still reaching, still touching Earth with light that left its surface 8 minutes ago. This moment, the moment of seeing Earth from afar, is one of the most powerful anchors in the entire universe. It reminds you that you are part of something delicate, something interconnected, something astonishing, and it prepares you for what comes next. Because once you feel the scale of Earth itself, you become ready to let go, to drift outward without fear, to let curiosity float ahead like a gentle guiding star. Tonight, we will follow that star. We will leave Earth behind just for a while, not to escape it, but to understand it more deeply by seeing everything around it. As you rest in this calm, silent orbit, feel how smallness doesn't diminish you. It expands you, it frees you, it opens the door to the vast luminous path ahead. When you are ready, we will take our first true step outward. From the peaceful silence of Earth's orbit, we drift gently toward our first familiar companion, the Moon. It hangs in the darkness like a silver lantern, quiet and steady, casting a soft glow over the world below. For all of human history, we have looked up at it, tracing its phases, whispering stories to it, finding comfort in its slow, predictable rhythm. But tonight, you're not looking up at the Moon. You're drifting toward it. Let yourself float forward, slowly, as though carried by a tide that moves without waves. You cross the vast space between Earth and the Moon, a distance of about 384,000 kilometers, a number almost too large to imagine. In the viral video, this distance is explained in striking terms. If you drove a car without stopping, at a steady 100 kilometers per hour, it would take over 160 days to reach the Moon. More than 5 long months of continuous travel just to touch that pale, glowing sphere in the sky. Here, in AstraFlow's quiet night, we soften that fact, letting it become a gentle realization rather than a shock. The Moon has always seemed close, comfortingly close, yet the space between us is enormous, enough to cradle dreams, enough to swallow sound, enough to make the simplest journey feel like a pilgrimage through stillness. As you drift, Earth recedes behind you, shrinking from a world to a sphere, to a shimmering drop of colour. You may feel a thin thread of connection pulling you backward, a reminder that every place you've known still spins quietly in the distance. But the Moon ahead glows with a different kind of familiarity, one that feels ancient, steady, almost protective. Take a slow breath in and let it fall out gently. The space before you is calm, empty, yet full of presence. This emptiness is not a void to fear, but a space to rest in. A dark ocean where light travels gracefully, where your thoughts can stretch as far as they need to. The Moon grows larger in your vision now, its surface revealing ridges, plains, and impact scars carved by billions of silent years. There is no wind here, no sound, only the slow drift of dust and the faint glow of reflected sunlight. Even from a short distance, you can sense how lonely and beautiful it is, a place where time feels slower, where stillness has weight. Astronauts who stood here described a feeling they could not name, a mixture of awe, humility, and peace. Looking back at Earth from the Moon, they saw a world small enough to cover with a thumb, a reminder that perspective changes everything, and that distance can turn the familiar into something miraculous. Tonight, you share a little of that perspective. You float in the quiet between worlds, held by nothing, supported by everything. As you hover near the Moon's soft horizon, let any lingering tension melt away. There is no urgency here, no deadlines, only the gentle pull of curiosity and the slow unfolding of the universe around you. When you're ready, we will drift farther still, toward the great heart of our solar system. From the quiet glow of the Moon, we turn our attention toward the great light that has warmed every moment of Earth's history, the Sun. Even from here, it shines as a distant beacon, not harsh or blinding, but softly pulsing with ancient energy. You begin drifting toward it with no effort at all, as though carried by a gentle breath moving across the cosmos. The space between the Moon and the Sun is immense, yet your mind moves through it, the way a thought drifts through still water. Far behind you, Earth has become a tiny sphere of blue light. Between you and the Sun stretches nearly 150 million kilometers, a distance the viral video described with striking clarity. Sunlight travelling at 300,000 kilometers per second needs about 8 minutes and 20 seconds to cross this gulf before it touches Earth each morning. Pause for a moment. Let that sink in gently. Light, the fastest thing known to exist, still takes minutes to reach us from the star that sustains all life we know. And if you were to travel this same distance in a commercial airplane, the viral script reminds us that it would take around 19 years of continuous flight. Here in AstraFlow's calm night, these facts become less about shock and more about softness, a reminder of how grand the spaces are that cradle our everyday existence. As you drift closer, the sun expands in your vision, not suddenly, but with a slow, luminous certainty. Its surface is not smooth. It swirls with currents of fire, plasma arcs rising like molten petals, falling back into oceans of brightness. The viral video called it a fiery behemoth, and though we soften the tone tonight, the essence remains. The sun is vast beyond comprehension, a quiet storm of fusion unfolding continuously for billions of years. Take a long breath in, and release it slowly. Feel the warmth of the sun not as heat on your skin, but as a presence, steady, patient, eternal. Every heartbeat you've ever had was supported by its light. Every tree, every ocean wave, every creature that has lived on Earth has been shaped, nourished, and held by this distant sphere of fire. Yet from this vantage, the sun does not feel overpowering. It feels gentle, like a lantern burning far across a dark field, radiating comfort rather than intensity. Its light moves outward in all directions, filling the solar system with a soft glow that fades slowly, the way memories fade into the edges of sleep. As you drift a little closer, you begin to feel the scale of it, large enough to hold over 1 million Earths inside, yet graceful in its motion, turning slowly, breathing in cycles older than human language. And in this moment, you understand something subtle. The sun is not just a star. It is a rhythm, a pulse, a steady heartbeat in the vast body of the universe. Let your own breathing fall into harmony with it. A quiet inhale, a softer exhale, as if your breath and the sun's light were moving together through space. Tonight we drift not toward danger, but toward illumination, toward the warm center of all that sustains us. When you are ready, we will turn away from this radiant heart and continue our journey outward into the deeper, cooler reaches of the solar system. Leaving the warm glow of the sun behind, you drift outward once more, not toward a specific world, but into the vast, quiet space that stretches between orbits. This is a region few people ever imagine clearly. We often picture planets lined up neatly, as if the solar system were a tidy model on a school desk. But in truth, the spaces between worlds are enormous, quiet, and profoundly peaceful. As you move away from the sun's steady brightness, the light softens, and the darkness grows deeper, thicker, gentler. The solar wind still flows around you, a faint stream of charged particles drifting outward like invisible dust, a reminder that even emptiness has motion. Take a slow breath. Feel the spaciousness around you. Here, there are no boundaries, no noise, no weight. Just open, tranquil dark. A dark that doesn't push in, but expands outward with every quiet inhalation of the universe. Planets orbit far apart, farther than the mind expects. The Earth and Mars, for instance, seem close when we speak of them, neighbours in the cosmic neighbourhood. But as the viral video gently revealed, Mars at its nearest is more than 54 million kilometres away. At its farthest, over 400 million kilometres, a distance so vast that even our fastest machines take months, sometimes years, to cross it. Here in AstraFlow's slow rhythm, those numbers soften into imagery. Imagine drifting across a calm, endless ocean where two islands, Earth and Mars float far on opposite horizons, their shores barely visible to each other. This region between orbits is like that, an ocean of stillness, and you are floating at its centre. Behind you, the sun grows smaller yet still glows with the warmth of memory. Ahead of you, the planets drift like lanterns in a vast black sea. Each one glides along its own gentle path, never rushing, never colliding, moving with a grace so slow it feels like the solar system is dreaming. You drift past the orbit of Venus, a world too bright, too hot, too fierce to linger near, then past the invisible trail that Earth leaves behind in its year-long journey. You cross the wide, cool gulf toward Mars, feeling the temperature drop not as coldness, but as a kind of quiet clarity. Out here, distance becomes a kind of meditation. Everything is far, everything is slow, everything is open. This is the space where spacecraft sleep, where signals travel in long, patient arcs, where silence is not emptiness, but a soft background hum. Let your breath fall into a long, slow pattern, in, then a gentle pause, and out. Feel how this vast region mirrors that rhythm, stretched, calm, unhurried. In this peaceful expanse, you begin to understand something subtle and beautiful. The universe is not crowded. It is spacious. It gives every world room to breathe, room to turn, room to drift. And as you float here, between orbits, between worlds, you feel that same spaciousness within yourself, a widening, a release, a quiet unfolding. When you're ready, we drift onward, toward the red lantern waiting in the distance, a world that has fascinated humanity for centuries. From the wide open space between orbits, Mars appears ahead like a faint ember glowing in the dark. Small, still, patient. As you drift closer, that ember deepens into a soft red light, the kind that feels warm even in the cold of interplanetary space. Mars has always carried a quiet magnetism. Long before spacecraft ever reached it, before rovers traced its dusty plains, before telescopes revealed its pale skies, humanity imagined it, a distant neighbour glowing with mystery. Tonight you approach it gently, without rush, simply floating toward a lantern that has hung in our sky for thousands of years. The distance you cross is vast. At its closest, Mars lies about 54.6 million kilometres from Earth. At its farthest, when the two planets drift to opposite sides of the Sun, that gulf stretches to more than 400 million kilometres. The viral video expressed it sharply. Travelling by a commercial jet would take thousands of years. But here, in AstraFlow's slower rhythm, these numbers become softer, almost like deep breaths. Imagine two desert islands in an endless ocean, drifting closer and then drifting apart over long quiet seasons. That is the dance of Earth and Mars. As you drift nearer, Mars reveals its surface in muted reds and gentle browns, like old clay warmed by distant sunlight. Its valleys stretch like ancient fingerprints. Its mountains, tall, silent, enormous, rise into thin, fragile air. You glide past canyons so deep they feel like scars in the planet's memory. And through it all there is a hush, a sense of waiting, as if Mars has been listening for visitors across millions of years. Take a slow breath. Let it fall away. Mars is not loud or dramatic. It is subtle, steady, contemplative, unlike the swirling storms of Jupiter or the dramatic brilliance of Venus. Mars carries a quieter beauty, one that reveals itself only when approached gently. You sense the cold thinness of its atmosphere, the softness of its shadows, the long loneliness of its nights. Yet none of it feels empty. The stillness is peaceful, like the silence of a library long after closing, where stories remain even when no one reads them. This red world has become a symbol of possibility. Rovers like Curiosity and Perseverance move across its surface slowly, like careful footsteps on a dusty floor. They carry questions humanity has whispered for generations. Was there water? Was there life? Could we someday call this place home? As you float above the planet, those questions feel less like scientific mysteries and more like gentle echoes, part of the universe's own quiet wondering. Mars drifts beneath you in soft, unhurried motion. Its horizon curves like a reddish smile, faint and distant. The sun, far back in space, shines on it more weakly than it shines on Earth, but the light is still warm enough to paint the rocks in delicate gold. You watch as shadows stretch slowly across the plains, like long thoughts drifting across a quiet mind. And in this moment, you understand why Mars captivates us. It feels familiar and foreign at once, a mirror of Earth, tilted into a different dream, a reminder that even in the vastness there are places that feel almost like home. When you're ready, we drift outward again, leaving this red lantern behind as we move toward the colder, deeper reaches of the solar system. Leaving Mars behind, you drift into colder, quieter regions of the solar system, where sunlight arrives thin and pale, and the worlds that orbit here move with a slow, regal calm. These are the outer giants, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. 4 immense worlds drifting like luminous guardians in the deep dark. Each one turns slowly, wrapped in clouds, storms, or icy haze, gliding through space with a dignity that feels ancient. As you float farther from the warmth of the sun, Jupiter comes into view first, enormous, radiant, impossible to ignore. It is more than a planet. It is a moving canvas of swirling storms, stripes and bands, all flowing across its surface like rivers of colour. The Great Red Spot, a storm that has raged for centuries, turns with steady patience, as if time itself moves slower here. Yet even this world, so massive that more than 1,000 Earths could fit inside it, drifts quietly, softly through its orbit. Nothing in the outer system is rushed. Beyond Jupiter waits Saturn, a world that looks almost delicate despite its size. Its rings, thin, intricate, shimmering, circle it like halos of crushed ice and ancient dust. Each ring particle catches faint sunlight and scatters it in silent arcs of gold and silver. From a distance, the rings look solid, like smooth glass. But as you drift closer, the illusion melts away. There are countless small pieces moving in harmony, creating beauty through simple shared motion. Saturn feels like a lesson in calm, how something vast can still be gentle. Further out, Uranus turns on its side, tilted as though it once fell asleep and never woke up. Its blue-green glow feels faint, softened by distance and cold. Its storms are hidden deep beneath its clouds, quiet and restrained. Uranus is like a lantern seen through fog, distant, muted, slightly mysterious. And in its strange tilt you sense the quiet truth that not everything in the universe aligns neatly. Some worlds flow in their own direction, following rhythms we do not yet understand. And then, almost at the edge of the solar system's reach, Neptune appears, a deeper blue than Uranus, more vibrant, more awake, glowing like a sapphire held beneath still water. Its winds are the fastest in the solar system, yet from afar it appears perfectly calm, as if the storms only hint at their power beneath smooth, serene clouds. In the viral video, Neptune's distance, about 4.5 billion kilometres from Earth, was a striking reminder of how enormous our solar system is. But here, drifting in the dark, that number becomes a softer feeling, an expanding quiet, a beautiful loneliness, a gentle reminder of how spacious everything truly is. Out here, the sun is no longer a warm presence but a distant point of light, bright yet small, like a single candle glowing across a vast field at night. Its warmth is faint, its influence thinner, and yet its presence still anchors everything, holding these giant worlds in their graceful orbits. Take a slow breath and let it settle. The outer giants remind you that size does not always mean noise, and distance does not always mean emptiness. These worlds, massive as they are, move with extraordinary grace. They are reminders that the universe breathes slowly, deeply, and that not all beauty is meant to be bright. Some is meant to be quiet. When you're ready, we drift farther still, toward a small, silent traveller that carries humanity's voice into interstellar night. Neptune drifts behind you now, its deep blue fading slowly into the darkness, and you continue outward into a region where sunlight is little more than a memory, thin, cold, stretched across billions of kilometres of space. Here everything feels slower, every breath seems longer, every moment seems suspended, as if time itself has taken on a gentler rhythm. Ahead lies a boundary of sorts, not a wall or a line, but a gradual fading of warmth and influence. This is where the outermost traces of our sun's comfort begin to dissolve. Even though you've already passed immense distances, Neptune marks a kind of threshold. In the viral video, it was described as lying roughly 4.15 billion kilometres from Earth, a number so large it almost loses meaning. But here, in this quiet drift, it becomes less a number and more a feeling, the realization that you have moved into a part of the solar system where space is truly open, where the sun is only a small spark behind you, and where each step outward feels like a step into a deeper dream. As you move farther from Neptune, the light becomes softer, cooler. The stars begin to stand out more clearly, no longer washed in the sun's stronger glow. You feel as though you're drifting through a gentle winter, silent, crisp, beautiful. The temperature around you drops, not in a way that bites or chills, but in a way that calms, like stepping into a still, snowy field where sound cannot travel far. Out here, the sun is a bright dot, no larger than a star. It is strange to realize that all of human history, all of life, all of Earth's warmth comes from a star that now looks so small, and yet its light still reaches you, faint but persistent, crossing billions of kilometers to illuminate your path. It is a quiet reminder that connection does not always weaken with distance. Sometimes it simply becomes subtler. Ahead lies the vastness that marks the edge of our planetary family. Beyond Neptune's wide orbit, the space grows emptier, and the objects you encounter become scattered and solitary. Small icy worlds, drifting fragments of early creation, remnants of a time when the solar system was still forming. They move slowly, quietly, almost as though they are dreaming. Some reflect faint blue light, others glint with white frost. All of them are wrapped in silence. You continue drifting, and the darkness deepens. It is not frightening. If anything, it feels peaceful. In meditation, there is a moment when the mind becomes very still, where thoughts spread out like soft mist and nothing pulls or presses. That is what the space beyond Neptune feels like. A gentle, spacious stillness. A place where even your breath seems to float more freely. The planets are behind you now. The warmth of the sun has thinned, and ahead, the path leads towards something small, quiet, and extraordinary. A little spacecraft that has been travelling for decades, carrying a message from humanity across the emptiest places imaginable. When you're ready, we will meet it, our silent wanderer on the edge of the solar system. Far beyond the last great planets, where sunlight becomes faint and thin, something small drifts through the darkness, so small that it would be invisible if you were not looking directly for it. It is not a world, not a moon, not a star. It is a creation of humanity, a messenger, a quiet traveller moving through a place where almost nothing else dares to wander. This is Voyager 1. Launched in 1977, Long before many of the people listening tonight were even born, Voyager 1 carries with it a piece of humanity's curiosity. In the viral video, it's described as having travelled more than 22 billion kilometres from Earth, farther than any other human-made object. But here, in this peaceful night of drifting, the number tells a softer story. It suggests patience, devotion. A journey not measured in urgency, but in decades of steady motion, one silent second at a time. As you approach the tiny craft, you feel a sense of tenderness. There is nothing loud or dramatic about Voyager. It moves without sound, without light of its own, without any hope of returning home. And yet, in its small body of metal and wires, it carries something extraordinary. The golden record, a message for anyone, human or otherwise, who might someday find it. The record holds greetings in dozens of languages, sounds of Earth, music from across cultures, even a mother's heartbeat. In a way, Voyager carries the memory of who we are. Floating near it, you notice the long antenna that once sent signals back to Earth, now pointed at a home so distant it is no longer a bright sphere, but a pale point swallowed by black. Voyager's power is fading, but it continues on, unbothered by time. There is something comforting in that. A reminder that even the smallest messenger can cross unimaginable distances if it moves with consistency and quiet trust. Take a soft breath. Let it fall out slowly. The space here feels different, more ancient, more open. As if you've stepped into the edge of a forest where the trees thin out and you can sense the beginning of a new landscape. Voyager marks that shift. Behind it lies the solar system, warm and structured. Ahead lies the unknown, the vast stretch of interstellar space. In 1990, at Carl Sagan's suggestion, Voyager looked back at Earth for the last time. From more than 6 billion kilometres away, it captured the iconic pale blue dot photograph. Earth appeared as a tiny, almost invisible speck of light, a mere fraction of a pixel. The viral video mentioned this moment for its emotional power, and it holds that same quiet weight here. As you imagine looking back with Voyager, you feel the gentle humbling of perspective. Every worry, every conflict, every triumph that ever occurred happened on that speck. Distance makes life look delicate, almost fragile, but also incredibly meaningful. Voyager 1 now drifts toward the edge of the heliosphere, where the sun's influence finally fades. It is crossing into interstellar space, the realm between stars, a place so empty and so vast that even light takes years to travel from one point to another. And yet, Voyager continues, undeterred, following a path older and larger than anything humans have walked. Float beside it for just a moment. Feel the quiet determination of this tiny traveller. Feel the calmness of a journey with no destination, only motion. Then let yourself drift forward. Past Voyager, past the fading warmth of the sun's long reach, and into the region where our solar system gives way to the deeper night. When you are ready, we will enter the place where the sun's wind cannot follow. As you drift gently past Voyager 1, something subtle pulls your attention backward, not physically, but emotionally. It is the echo of a moment the little spacecraft captured long ago, a single image taken at the edge of the sun's fading light. The camera turned one last time toward home and, across billions of kilometres of empty space, photographed a tiny spark suspended in a band of scattered sunlight. That spark was Earth, and that image, the pale blue dot, became one of the most humbling, tender portraits of our existence ever made. Tonight, in this slow drift through darkness, imagine seeing that image for yourself. The sunbeams stretch across the frame like soft golden threads, and there, so faint you almost miss it, is a tiny dot, so small it feels like it could disappear if you blinked. That dot contains every memory you've ever held, every smile you've seen, every place you've walked, every dream, every moment of joy, every moment of ache, all resting on a single shimmering point, no larger than a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. Take a slow breath. Let it settle. Let yourself feel the quietness of that realization. It is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to soften you, to remind you that the world is both vast and intimate, large and delicate, immense and precious. From this distant vantage, the earth loses all its noise. Borders fade, tension disappears, the loudness of life becomes a faint memory. All that remains is a small, bright home wrapped in a thin layer of air and light. On that dot, oceans rise and fall, forests breathe, families share dinners, children laugh. Someone somewhere is looking up at the sky, just as you are, wondering about the same stars. Carl Sagan's reflection on this image became famous because it touched something deep inside people, a sense of unity, of shared fragility, of quiet awe. And here, in AstraFlow's calm night, that feeling becomes even gentler. The pale blue dot is not just a reminder of our smallness, it is a reminder of our togetherness, of the way every life is connected by the same thin thread of sunlight. As you float in the dark, imagine holding Earth in the palm of your hand, not with possession, but with care. Imagine it as a tiny marble glowing softly, warmed by a distant star. The darkness around it is not threatening. It is spacious, peaceful, the kind of quiet that makes you breathe a little deeper. It becomes clear why the pale blue dot moment is one of the most powerful in the viral video. It is the emotional center, the heartbeat of the cosmic journey. Because before we drift into the unfathomable distances ahead, we pause to remember what home truly means, and how wonderfully improbable it is that such a small world can hold so much life. Float here for a moment longer, suspended between the memory of Earth and the road ahead. Feel the softness of this stillness. Feel the calm perspective settling into you like dust settling on water. Then let yourself slowly turn outward again, leaving the pale blue dot behind as you continue your journey toward the quiet edge of the sun's domain. When you are ready, we drift toward the boundary where sunlight finally loses its strength, the place where the heliosphere ends and the vast interstellar night begins. Ahead of you lies an invisible boundary, one of the quietest, loneliest, and most poetic thresholds in the cosmos. It is not marked by colour or by light or by anything you can see. It is marked only by a change in pressure, a soft shift in the way particles move. This subtle border is called the heliopause, the place where the breath of our sun finally fades and the winds of other stars quietly begin. As you drift closer, the sun behind you shrinks into an even smaller point, still bright, still comforting, but no longer able to push its influence this far. For billions of kilometers, the solar wind has carried particles outward, like a gentle stream of warmth. But here that stream loses strength. It dissolves into the wider sea of interstellar space, where different currents flow, older, colder, and shaped by stars far beyond anything familiar. You don't feel a sudden change. There is no jolt, no pressure, no sensation of crossing a border. It happens softly, quietly, like stepping from one room into another at night when the air simply feels different. This is the edge of the sun's domain, the boundary of our heliosphere. Inside it, the sun was a presence you could always sense, even if faint. Outside, you enter a realm where the sun becomes just one more star among many. The viral video framed this region with scientific clarity, explaining how the solar wind finally surrenders to the interstellar medium. But here, in this calm drift, that transition feels more like emotion than physics. It feels like turning a page in a very old, very gentle book. take a slow breath. Let it flow out. You're crossing the place where our solar story ends and another story begins. Around you, the darkness deepens in a way that feels expansive rather than empty. The stars appear sharper now, not blurred by the sun's lingering glow. Each one shines with a quiet confidence, floating in the vast black sea that stretches in all directions. The universe seems larger here, its silence deeper, its stillness richer. Imagine the heliopause as a shoreline. On one side, the warm, familiar waters of a cosmic bay, the solar system where planets orbit and comets sleep. On the other side, an open ocean without end. Voyager 1 crossed this threshold in 2012, becoming the first human-made object to leave the sun's protective bubble. You now drift beside that same invisible frontier, experiencing the same gentle shift, the same quiet widening of space. In this moment you are farther from home than any living creature has ever travelled, and yet, instead of isolation, you feel a strange sense of freedom, a sense that the universe is not a series of separate regions but one continuous flow, light becoming darkness, warmth becoming cold, boundaries dissolving into a smooth, infinite gradient. Here, at the edge of the heliosphere, you understand something quietly profound. Every system, every world, every star has its limits. But beyond those limits lies not an end, but more space to explore, more mystery to unfold, more room for wonder. Drift just a little farther, and you will leave the sun's breath behind completely. Ahead lies the frozen halo of billions of icy objects, the vast ancient sphere known as the Oort cloud. It is our final border before the interstellar night. When you are ready, we will enter it together. Crossing the heliopause feels like stepping into a deeper breath of the universe, and ahead of you now appears one of the most mysterious, most spacious regions in all of our cosmic home, the Oort cloud. It does not look like the neat glowing shell that illustrations sometimes show. In truth, it is almost entirely invisible. Its pieces scattered across unimaginable distances, each one drifting alone through cold ancient dark. And yet, together, they form a vast, fragile halo that surrounds our solar system like a quiet, crystalline dream. The Oort cloud is not a place that spacecraft have visited. It is a place we know mostly through clues, through inference, through the long arc of comet orbits that hint at something immense, soft and distant holding them in place. But tonight, in this meditative drift, imagine it as a sphere of faint icy embers, tiny worlds no bigger than mountains or islands, each one wrapped in frost, glinting faintly with the sun's distant, weakened light. In the viral video, the Oort cloud was described with bold numbers, extending up to 100,000 astronomical units, nearly 1.9 light-years from the sun. Here, that scale becomes something gentler, a sense of stepping into a region where distance is no longer measured in kilometers or miles, but in silence, in slowness, in time so stretched that it feels like the universe has paused to rest. As you drift forward, the faint warmth of the sun continues to dim, becoming more memory than glow. If you turn around now, you might see the sun as a bright star among countless other stars, no longer dominating the sky. The planets you visited, Mars with its red dust, Jupiter with its storms, Neptune with its frozen winds, are all tucked close to that distant point of light. They feel like quiet chapters of a story you read long ago, still precious, still present, but far behind you. The Oort cloud is quieter still. It's a place where objects can take millions of years to orbit the sun. Their paths stretch so wide that they seem to drift almost aimlessly. You glide past one small icy fragment, its surface cracked, its shadows deep, its frost untouched for epochs. Then another, hundreds of millions of kilometers away, and another, each one isolated, but part of a shared sphere that surrounds everything you've known. Take a soft breath. Let it move slowly in and out. The stillness here is profound. It feels like a cosmic winter, gentle, unmoving, endless. This is the last true boundary of our solar system, the edge where the sun's gravity still whispers faintly, holding these icy bodies in a loose, delicate embrace. Scientists believe that comets that brighten our skies sometimes originate here, knocked inward by subtle gravitational nudges. They fall toward the sun in long, shimmering arcs, their icy bodies glowing with renewed warmth. And when they do, they carry with them the memory of this place, the outermost cradle of our solar system, a sphere of untouched frost that lies beyond all planets, all light, all warmth. You float deeper into this frozen halo. The darkness feels thicker now, but also softer, like deep velvet. The stars around you shine with a clarity you have not seen before. They no longer twinkle, they burn steady and sharp, unfiltered by atmosphere or solar glare. This is a place where perspective widens effortlessly, where even your breath feels expanded. Ahead lies the true beginning of interstellar space, not just the fading of sunlight, but the place where the sun's gravity itself weakens into the general pull of the galaxy. Beyond the Oort cloud there are no more boundaries, no more edges, only the long, quiet road to the nearest star. When you're ready, we will take that step, out of the solar system entirely, and toward the distant glimmer of Alpha Centauri. Leaving the Oort cloud feels like letting go of the final thread that connects you to home. Behind you, the sun is now only a bright pinpoint, still familiar, still warm in memory, but no longer a presence that shapes the darkness around you. You have drifted past the last quiet guardians of the solar system, past the frozen embers that circle in their patient million-year arcs. Ahead lies a different kind of space, older and quieter than anything you felt so far. This is interstellar night, the dark ocean between the stars. The change is subtle. There is no visible border, no sudden shift. But the silence deepens. The stillness expands. Space feels wider here, as if the universe is opening itself slowly, gently, to reveal its true scale. The distances you crossed in the solar system were immense, but compared to what lies ahead, they seem almost close, almost intimate. Now you're moving into a realm where even light takes years to travel, where stars drift like distant lanterns separated by gulfs so huge that human language barely knows how to hold them. Take a slow, steady breath. Let the air slip out softly. The vastness here is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to soothe you, to loosen the boundaries of thought, to invite your mind to stretch as effortlessly as light itself. Out here, there are no planets nearby, no rings or storms or frozen plains. There is just calm, clean darkness dotted with starlight that has travelled across ages to reach your eyes. You drift past dust so thin it might as well be memory. Tiny grains left from ancient stars, scattered so widely that a handful might be spread across billions of kilometres. There are magnetic fields, faint currents of charged particles, invisible rivers of force flowing through the void. But everything feels slow, gentle, patient. Interstellar space is not empty, it is spacious. The stars around you seem still, but they are not. Each one is moving, some drifting toward each other, some drifting apart, all tracing enormous paths through the galaxy, like quiet dancers in a dim hall. You begin to sense how much time stretches out here. A year feels like a footstep, a century feels like a breath. 1,000,000 years feels like a gentle blink of cosmic time. From this distance, your home star blends into the background. The sun becomes just another point of light among billions of others. Somewhere behind you lies Jupiter's swirling storms, Saturn's delicate rings, Neptune's sapphire winds, all gathered near that single spark you left behind. They feel like childhood memories, not gone, just resting in a softer part of your mind. Interstellar space humbles you, but it also comforts you. It feels like a long night drive on an empty road, where the darkness isn't threatening. It's peaceful, open, full of possibility. You float through it the way a leaf floats on still water, carried by currents so gentle you barely feel them. Ahead, somewhere in the vastness, a star glimmers just a little brighter than the rest. It is faint, distant, and patient. This is Alpha Centauri, our nearest stellar neighbour. In the viral video, this is where the scale of the universe suddenly becomes almost unfathomable, a moment that captured millions of viewers. In AstraFlow's quiet rhythm, that same realization will arrive not as shock, but as wonder. When you're ready, we drift toward that tiny distant flame and into one of the most profound steps of the entire cosmic journey. As you glide through interstellar night, a faint glow begins to rise ahead of you, a small trembling spark in the dark. It flickers gently as if unsure whether it wants to be seen, but slowly, steadily it grows clearer. This is Alpha Centauri, our closest neighbouring star system, and the first true step into the vast architecture of the galaxy. It looks simple from here, just a point of light among many, but the space between you and that glow is one of the most humbling stretches in the universe. The viral video described this moment with a phrase that resonated deeply with viewers. A journey to Alpha Centauri is almost unfathomable, and in many ways it is. Not because we lack imagination, but because our minds were shaped to understand mountain ranges and oceans, not the black, silent canvas that stretches between stars. Take a slow breath. Let it fall away gently. You are now drifting across a distance of 4.4 light years, a number that seems simple until you explore what it truly means. Light, the fastest traveller in existence, needs over 4 years to make this journey. 4 years of constant motion at a speed so great it circles Earth 7 times in a single second. Even then, it inches forward, bit by bit, through the long dark. Now imagine a spacecraft, one of ours, far slower than light. The viral script reminded us that if Voyager 1, the most distant human-made object, were aimed toward Alpha Centauri, it would take over 70,000 years to arrive. 70,000 years! Entire civilizations rising, changing, fading. Generations stacked atop generations, each passing like quiet pages in a long, timeless book. Let that perspective settle softly into your mind, not to overwhelm you, but to open you. Ahead, Alpha Centauri glows a little brighter. In reality, it isn't one star, but a system of 3. Centauri A, Centauri B, and Proxima, a small red dwarf that is even closer to us than the others. These stars move around each other in slow, gentle arcs, bound by gravity the way dancers sway to the same undetectable rhythm. Their light takes years to reach you, yet it arrives steady, warm, almost reassuring. In this vast void where stars drift quietly across tens of trillions of kilometres, Alpha Centauri feels near, almost intimate. You can see its faint golden shimmer. You can sense the quiet heat of its presence. It is a reminder that even in the deeper silence there are lights waiting, patient and steady. As you move closer, you begin to understand something important. Distance in the universe is not just physical, it's emotional. The space between stars is large enough to dissolve meaning, large enough to quiet even the boldest thoughts. And yet, within that immensity, a tiny spark can still draw you forward. Take another soft breath. The darkness no longer feels empty. It feels like a gentle stretch of quiet that holds everything, connects everything. And the light ahead, the quiet, distant glow of Alpha Centauri, feels like a promise that the universe, for all its vastness, remains full of landmarks to guide you. This is the first point in our journey where the scale becomes too large to hold in a single thought, and that is all right. You do not need to understand it completely. You only need to drift, to observe, to breathe. When you are ready, we will move past this neighbouring star system and begin to see our galaxy, not as a distant idea, but as a structure, a vast spiral of light that holds billions of suns like this one, a home far larger than anything we can imagine and far more beautiful than anything we can describe. As Alpha Centauri drifts slowly behind you, its golden glow softening into the dark, the space ahead opens into an even wider sea. The distances you've crossed already feel enormous, but now something subtle changes in your awareness. You begin to sense that numbers, kilometres, miles, even years, are no longer enough to measure what lies before you. Out here, light becomes the only meaningful ruler. Light is not just illumination. It is the universe's gentle storyteller, carrying memories across unimaginable distances. Every star you see is a message from the past. Every faint shimmer is an echo of something that happened years, centuries, millennia ago. And as you drift in the quiet between systems, you start to understand why astronomers measure space not by physical length, but by how long light has been travelling. Take a slow breath. Let it settle. Just as your breath expands your chest, light expands across the universe, stretching out, drifting forward, never pausing. It moves at a speed so great it circles Earth 7 times in a single second. Yet even at that speed, it takes 4 years to cross the distance between the Sun and Alpha Centauri. That alone is enough to quiet the mind. But when we look out toward the wider galaxy, toward stars far beyond our neighbourhood, even light begins to feel slow. A star 100 light-years away shows you what it looked like 100 years ago, before many people alive today were even born. A star 1,000 light-years away shines with the light it released a millennium ago. And when you look toward the centre of the Milky Way 26,000 light-years from Earth, you aren't seeing the present at all. You're seeing a moment from long before civilization existed. In the gentle darkness around you, that thought becomes soothing rather than strange. The past isn't gone. It simply travels at its own pace. Imagine holding a small lantern in your hands. Its glow spills outward into the dark. The longer you hold it, the farther its light reaches. The universe works the same way. The longer it exists, the farther its light stretches, revealing more and more of its vastness. But because the universe also expands, some light never reaches us. It stretches, thins, fades, swallowed by the growth of space itself. This creates a beautiful paradox. The universe grows faster than its own stories can cross it. Some galaxies, drifting outward on the swelling tide of space, move away faster than their light can ever catch us. To us, they will remain forever unseen. Entire realms of stars, entire histories drifting beyond our horizon, not because we cannot reach them, but because their light will never arrive. Let that thought feel soft, not heavy. It is not a loss. It is a reminder that existence is always larger than our vision, always expanding, always inviting us to wonder. Somewhere ahead, the glowing curve of the Milky Way begins to rise, faint at first, like a mist of silver dust poured across the sky. You are approaching the structure that cradles our Sun, Alpha Centauri, and billions of other stars, an enormous spiral of light and shadow, turning slowly through the cosmic dark. Before we drift into that grand river of stars, take one more gentle breath. Light has guided you this far. It will guide you farther still, across distances so great that even imagination must stretch to follow. When you're ready, we will approach our home galaxy and see its shimmering arms unfold in full, quiet splendour. Ahead of you, the darkness begins to brighten, not suddenly but gradually, like dawn rising behind distant mountains. A faint milky glow stretches across the black, soft and shimmering, as if billions of tiny lanterns have been scattered across a river of night. This is the Milky Way, our home galaxy, and as you drift toward it, you begin to sense its shape long before you see it clearly. From afar, the Milky Way is not a flat disk or a rigid spiral. It is a flowing structure, a luminous cloud, a whirlpool of stars turning with ancient patience. Its arms curl gently through space like the slow movement of breath, expanding, stretching, and folding back into themselves over hundreds of millions of years. Everything about it feels alive. Vast, but alive. Take a soft breath in. Let it fall out gently. The galaxy seems to mirror that rhythm. Light pooling and fading, stars forming and drifting, clusters glowing like embers in a cosmic lung. It breathes not in seconds, but in epochs, yet the feeling is unmistakably familiar. As you draw closer, the details sharpen. Billions of stars scatter like diamonds across a black ocean. Dust lanes weave through the spiral arms like soft strokes of charcoal. Nebulae glow in quiet pinks and blues, their colours muted but still vibrant in the distance. These are the nurseries of stars, places where gas and dust gather and condense until new suns ignite. Small bursts of warmth in the cold. The viral video taught viewers that the Milky Way spans about 100,000 light-years from end to end. But out here, in this calm, drifting space, that number becomes a feeling. A stretch so wide that light itself, must travel for 100,000 years to cross it. Generations upon generations would rise and fade before a single beam reached the opposite edge. Time becomes soft here, almost fluid. You glide above the plane of the Milky Way now, looking down on its spiral form. From this vantage, the galaxy resembles a glowing whirl of fog, thin and luminescent, rotating with a grace that defies its size. Our solar system sits tucked away in one of the smaller arms, the Orion Arm, a quiet tributary of this vast river of light. From this height it is nearly invisible, a tiny dot on a tiny dot, and yet that tiny dot is home. Let the enormity of that settle gently in your mind. The sun, the planets, Neptune's frozen winds, Voyager's lonely path, all of them lie within one small curve of this enormous spiral. It is humbling, but not frightening. Instead, it feels like discovering that your childhood home exists inside a much larger, more beautiful landscape than you ever realized. The stars around you drift slowly, their colours shifting, some blue and young, burning hot and bright. Others orange or red, older, quieter, content to glow softly for billions of years. Between them lie nebulae shaped like clouds, like feathers, like faint smoke dissolving into darkness. You drift through this star field the way a leaf floats through moonlit water, weightless, quiet, unhurried, and as you move deeper into the galaxy's spiral breath, a new awareness forms. The Milky Way is not a collection of stars. It is a community, a cosmic city, a shimmering tapestry woven from countless lights, each carrying its own stories, its own worlds, its own skies. When you're ready, we'll move from this river of stars into the quiet between galaxies, a silence deeper than anything we've felt so far, where even the Milky Way begins to look small. As you drift deeper into the galaxy's soft glow, something delicate and almost invisible surrounds you, a sphere not made of stars or dust or gas, but of human presence. It is faint, quiet, and surprisingly small, yet it marks one of the most profound boundaries humanity has ever created. This is the human radio bubble. Imagine a sphere centered on Earth, expanding at the speed of a light for the last century or so. Every broadcast ever sent, every old radio song, every news transmission, every faint signal from the earliest days of television has travelled outward across space. Together they form a bubble only about 100 light-years wide. In the viral video, this fact struck viewers deeply. Almost the entire Milky Way lies far beyond the reach of our earliest messages, and here, floating among the stars, its emotional truth becomes even clearer. Take a slow breath. Let it fall gently. Picture that bubble now, a fragile sphere of invisible sound waves spreading peacefully through the Orion Arm, a century of human history carried outward as whispers. If you could hear it from here, it would be scrambled, faint, distorted by distance and cosmic dust. But in its quiet way, it is a signature, a fingerprint of our existence, and yet, compared to the galaxy around you, it is almost nothing at all. The Milky Way spans 100,000 light-years. The human radio bubble spans only 100, a single bright spark within a vast ocean. Let that change your perspective softly, not sharply. It is not meant to make you feel small. It is meant to show you how much mystery still lies beyond the borders of our knowing. Humanity has existed as a technological species for only a moment, and our signals have barely reached beyond the quiet stars closest to home. If there are other civilizations drifting in the spiral arms, most would have no idea we exist. Our whispers have not reached them. Our bubble is a small lantern on a very long shoreline, and somehow that makes this moment even more gentle, even more peaceful. You realize that the galaxy is vast not because it excludes us, but because it has room for so much more. More worlds, more wonders, more stories waiting in the dark. As you float through this faint sphere of human echoes, you can almost imagine the signals moving past you. Threads of sound, fragments of voices, bits of music carried through blackness thinner than any vacuum on Earth. Somewhere behind you, Earth sits near the center of this bubble, glowing like a small candle. Every year, the bubble expands by one more light year in every direction, slowly, steadily, without hurry. There is something profoundly calming about that. Human presence grows not through conquest or noise, but through light, through sound, through simple, gentle emission. Whisper by whisper, we reach outward. You drift to the boundary now, the very edge of where any trace of humanity has travelled. Beyond this point, the universe is untouched by our voice. Pure, unaware, enormous. That edge does not feel like a limit. It feels like an invitation, a reminder that there are places still waiting to be heard, still waiting to be seen, still waiting to be felt. Take one last quiet breath within this bubble. Feel the tenderness of it. A century of human life suspended in darkness. Then let yourself drift beyond, into the deeper regions of the Milky Way, where the galaxy begins to reveal its true, breathtaking scale. When you are ready, we will rise above the galactic disk and see our home from a new, ethereal height. Beyond the faint boundary of the human radio bubble, you drift into a region of the galaxy where our presence dissolves completely, and only the universe remains. The stars around you grow more numerous, arranged not randomly, but in long, gentle rivers of light. Here you begin to sense the structure of the Milky Way not as an abstract diagram, but as a living landscape, one you are floating through with complete ease. You are now entering the Orion Arm, also called the Orion Spur, a small, graceful branch of one of the Milky Way's larger spiral arms. This is our neighbourhood in the galaxy, our sun, Alpha Centauri, and countless other stars drift here together, like houses along the same quiet cosmic street. The viral video mentioned the Orion Arm only briefly, but here, in AstraFlow's slower rhythm, you have time to feel its softness, its calm. Take a slow breath, steady and smooth. Notice how the stars seem to breathe with you, brightening and dimming in gentle waves. This part of the galaxy holds some of its most beautiful sights. Stellar nurseries wrapped in pink and violet mist, young blue stars burning with intense but tender radiance, and ancient red stars glowing like embers from fires lit billions of years ago. As you drift forward, you pass through clouds of interstellar dust so thin you couldn't touch a single grain, even if you tried. Yet these clouds shape the galaxy, absorbing light, creating shadows, sculpting lanes that flow across the spiral arm like brushstrokes on an enormous canvas. You drift through one of them now, watching as distant stars fade slightly behind the dust, their bright pinpoints softened into warm, blurred glimmers. The Orion Arm is a place of creation. Here lies the Orion Nebula, a vast cradle where new stars ignite in slow motion, their light pushing outward through curtains of gas. Even from far away, its glow is unmistakable, a soft, luminous bloom hanging in the darkness. You sense that somewhere within that bloom, new suns are being born, each one with the potential to host worlds, oceans, skies, and perhaps lives that will rise and fade in rhythms as gentle as our own. Your drifting path takes you above clusters of stars that shine like small gatherings of lanterns in a field. Some are young and bright, their light sharp and blue. Others are old and settled, their glow warm and gold. Together they form families, stellar siblings formed from the same cloud of gas long ago. In time, these clusters drift apart, but their origins remain connected, like leaves from the same tree floating down different parts of a river. Let your breath fall slowly in and out. The Orion Arm is not a busy place. It is spacious, unhurried, almost contemplative. Stars move, but very slowly. Light flows, but gently. Here, everything takes its time. Out here, distance is not measured by speed, but by serenity. From this vantage, you can look outward and see the faint hints of the Milky Way's larger arms, Perseus on one side, Sagittarius on the other, stretching like luminous pathways curving away into distant darkness. You're standing in a small bridge between them, a subtle spur of stars weaving quietly between the galaxy's grand structures. For now, this neighbourhood is home, a tiny region in a vast spiral, a quiet alcove in an immense cathedral of light, and as you float in its stillness, you feel gently held by the simple knowledge that even on a cosmic scale, we belong to a place, small, yes, but beautifully real. When you are ready, we will rise even higher, drifting above the galaxy to see its full shape, a glowing whirl of starlight turning softly through time. From within the Orion Arm, the Milky Way feels endless, stars stretching in all directions, dust clouds drifting like soft shadows, nebulae glowing faintly with the light of new beginnings. But to truly understand the galaxy's shape, its movement, its quiet magnificence, you must drift upward, slowly, gently, rising above the luminous plane where billions of stars reside. The climb is peaceful. There is no up or down in space, yet you sense the shift as the density of starlight begins to thin. The bright clusters of the Orion Arm settle beneath you like lanterns on a distant shore. Dust lanes grow fainter, scattering into streaks of smoky grey. The stars around you begin to spread out, giving you more room to breathe, more room to drift. Space opens like a slow exhale, and then, with one soft, steady motion, the Milky Way reveals itself. Below you stretches a glowing spiral, vast, delicate, breathtaking. Its arms sweep outward in great arcs of light, curling like the petals of a cosmic flower. Each arm glows with billions of suns, woven together by gravity's patient hand. Dark patches of dust thread through the luminous swirls, giving the galaxy depth, shape, and quiet mystery. The centre burns brighter than the rest, a soft golden bloom where stars crowd together in ancient, endless rotation. Take a long, gentle breath. Let the image settle into you. This is your home, not just Earth, not just the solar system, but this entire spiral of starlight. Everything you have ever known lies within this giant shimmering wheel turning slowly through the dark. From above, the Milky Way looks impossibly thin. The entire disk is only a few thousand light-years thick, compared to its 100,000 light-year width. It is like a delicate sheet of the light floating in space, fragile, elegant, impossibly vast. Most of its stars, including our Sun, lie in this thin plane, orbiting the centre at a pace so slow that a single full rotation takes more than 200 million years. Humanity has existed for only a tiny sliver of one galactic turn. Let that sink in softly. Not as something overwhelming, but as a reminder that time in the universe moves with a patience we can barely fathom. You float higher still. The spiral arms connect, crossing and uncrossing like strands of silk. The edges of the galaxy blur into faint halos of old stars, remnants of the Milky Way's early chapters. Surrounding the entire disk is a vast, diffuse sphere, the galactic halo, where ancient star clusters drift in quiet, dignified orbits, carrying memories billions of years old. From here the Milky Way resembles a glowing mandala suspended in endless night. Intricate, symmetrical, meditative. It does not pulse, but it seems to breathe in long, slow rhythms. Light expands, darkness gathers, gravity tugs, stars drift. Everything flows with serene inevitability. The realization arrives gently. The galaxy is not a static object. It is a living motion, a slow, cosmic breath, and you are floating right above that breath, watching it unfold with perfect stillness. As you linger in this soft vantage point, you notice something else. Even this immense structure is only one among billions. Each galaxy a swirling island of stars drifting through a sea so vast that the Milky Way itself becomes a tiny glow in a much larger night. When you're ready, we will drift beyond our galaxy altogether, into the silence between islands of light, toward the deep, dark intergalactic sea. Rising beyond the Milky Way's spiral glow, you feel the galaxy slowly drifting away beneath you, its luminous arms folding into a faint shimmering disk. The light becomes concentrated, then delicate, then almost fragile. As you drift farther, the spiral structure softens into a compact brilliance, a flower closing its petals for the night. Soon the Milky Way becomes no more than a gentle smear of light, one glowing island among countless others. And this is where the greatest quiet of all begins. The space between galaxies is unlike any silence you've felt so far. Interstellar space was spacious, soft, and calm, but still full of stars scattered near and far. Intergalactic space is something different. It is a night so deep, so clear, that even thoughts seem to drift more slowly within it. This is the intergalactic ocean, the vast dark that stretches between the islands of light we call galaxies. Stars become sparse, dust becomes rare. The gentle backdrop that once shimmered with clusters now seems stretched thin, like a quiet stillness that extends for millions of light years. You can almost feel the temperature drop, not as coldness, but as a deep, meditative emptiness, the kind that softens every boundary inside you. Take a slow breath. Let the air settle. The silence here is not empty. It is profound. Every direction feels open. Every distance feels infinite. You are floating between worlds that contain hundreds of billions of stars, yet none of them feel close. They drift across the cosmic sea the way distant ships drift across a moonlit ocean. Silent, steady, each carrying its own stories. Turn your gaze slightly, and you notice the Andromeda Galaxy, a faint haze in the darkness, its spiral arms barely visible from here. It is the Milky Way's sister, drifting toward us slowly over billions of years. The viral video described galaxies floating in intergalactic space like islands in a black ocean, and here that image becomes real. Each galaxy glows softly, isolated by unimaginable distances, yet bound to others by gravity's gentle pull. Farther away, tiny smudges of light indicate the presence of smaller galaxies, dwarfs, irregulars, satellites, each one containing its own suns, its own nebulae, its own tapestries of light and dark. Even the nearest of them is more than 1,000,000 light-years from its neighbours. Intergalactic space stretches across these distances like the deep, still waters between distant shores. Let your breath flow in a long exhale. Feel the expanse around you. This silence has texture, like velvet spread across the night. Nothing disturbs it. Nothing rushes through it. Particles here are so rare that you could travel billions of kilometres without touching even a single atom. It is a place where light can journey for ages without interruption, where galaxies move as if in slow motion, drifting through a space that feels almost sacred. The Milky Way behind you now glows like a faint coin of light. Andromeda, ahead, glimmers like another. Between them stretches the local group, your cosmic neighbourhood. But beyond that, beyond these few dozen galaxies, the darkness widens further still. Intergalactic silence teaches you something subtle. The universe does not rush. It does not press forward with urgency. It expands with patience, with calm, with the slow certainty of tides that take billions of years to shift. When you're ready, we will drift into the local group itself, toward that quiet family of galaxies bound together by gravity, moving gently through the cosmic sea. As you continue drifting through the vast intergalactic ocean, two soft lights become anchors in the darkness. The Milky Way behind you, and the faint glow of Andromeda ahead. Slowly, gently, other glimmers begin to emerge, dim halos, tiny smudges, delicate sparks that hover in the deep. These are not stars, they are galaxies, and together they form the small but beautiful community known as the local group. Here, in this quiet corner of the universe, more than 50 galaxies drift together through space. Most are small, dwarf galaxies no larger than faint clouds of dust. Their stars scattered like a handful of dim embers. A few are larger, the Milky Way, Andromeda and Triangulum. They are the great lanterns of this region, guiding the smaller galaxies the way lighthouses guide passing ships. Take a slow breath. Let the thoughts settle. You are floating among galaxies. The viral video described the local group as spanning roughly 10 million light-years, and as you drift into its subtle embrace, that scale becomes a feeling, a wide, gentle stretch of space where each galaxy has room to breathe, to drift, to move through time without hurry. Nothing here collides quickly, nothing rushes. Motion is measured in millions of years, not moments. Look to one side. A tiny dwarf galaxy glows faintly, its stars gathered loosely like a cluster of soft fireflies. Some dwarf galaxies orbit the Milky Way, held gently by its gravitational pull. Others circle Andromeda, moving in long, slow arcs like companions walking beside a much larger friend. Each dwarf contains its own quiet history, stars being born, fading, drifting, stories unfolding in miniature. Farther ahead, Andromeda becomes clearer. It is larger than the Milky Way and brighter, a spiral of light shimmering like a cosmic vortex. One day, billions of years from now, these two galaxies, Milky Way and Andromeda, will drift together and merge into one. The viral video called this a collision, but here, in the stillness of AstraFlow, it feels more like a dance. A slow, graceful embrace that will take millions of years to complete. Let your breathing mirror that pace, long, steady, unhurried. Around you, the galaxies of the local group float like islands scattered across a tranquil sea. Their spacing is vast, yet they remain loosely bound, drifting together through the larger currents of the cosmos. It is a reminder that even in the immensity of space there are families, clusters, communities held in place by invisible threads of gravity. The local group feels peaceful, almost intimate. These galaxies, large and small, share a common destiny. They drift toward one another, orbiting, influencing, and shaping each other over cosmic ages. You sense that you're moving through a neighborhood, not a void, a place with gentle structure, quiet relationships, and ancient unspoken bonds. As you drift past the Triangulum Galaxy, a small bright spiral shimmering like a distant firework, the space ahead opens again. The galaxies thin out. The darkness grows deeper. You're approaching the edge of the local group where its gravitational pull begins to fade and another larger structure begins to rise. Beyond this quiet cosmic family lies a much grander landscape, one that spans hundreds of millions of light years, a continent of galaxies connected by threads of gravity and rivers of starlight. When you are ready, we will drift toward the first of these colossal formations, the Virgo supercluster. Leaving the local group's gentle embrace, you let yourself drift closer to its brightest companion, the Andromeda Galaxy. Even from afar it glows with a quiet majesty, its spiral shape unfolding like a cosmic blossom suspended in darkness. Though it appears small from this vast distance, you can feel its presence, soft, steady, patient. Take a slow breath, let it ease out. The darkness around you feels expansive but not empty. Ahead, Andromeda shimmers with a tender blue-white glow, its spiral arms stretching outward like delicate wings. You drift toward it not with speed, but with calm awareness, as though being drawn in by its gentle gravity. Andromeda is often described in dramatic terms, our nearest galactic neighbour, the galaxy that will one day merge with the Milky Way. In the viral video, this future meeting was framed as a collision, an event of cosmic scale. But here, in AstraFlow's softer rhythm, that encounter transforms into something graceful. The two galaxies are not rushing at each other, they are drifting, gliding, moving along patient trajectories that will take billions of years to converge. Even now, Andromeda approaches us at about 110 kilometers per second, a speed that sounds enormous until you place it on cosmic scales. At this distance, the motion is almost imperceptible, like watching two distant clouds drift slowly toward each other across the horizon. Peaceful, inevitable, soft. As you come closer, the spiral details grow clearer. The glowing core, the sweeping arms, the faint dust lanes that cut across its structure like strokes of charcoal. Stars clustered densely near the centre, where the gravitational heartbeat is strongest. On the outskirts, stars drift in slow, elegant arcs, like grains of light swept outward by a cosmic tide. Andromeda carries billions of stories within it, billions of suns, each with their own worlds, some young and burning blue, others ancient and fading into soft red embers. Entire clusters drift within its arms, nebulae bloom in quiet colours. Dark matter, silent, unseen, cradles it all, shaping its form the way wind shapes dunes. Take another breath. The pace of everything slows even further. You feel the calm rhythm of galactic time, cycles measured not in years but in epochs. This galaxy has existed for over 10 billion years. It has seen more sunrises on its worlds than numbers can express. It holds histories older than Earth itself. And yet, here it is now, drifting quietly just a few million light years from you. The future meeting of the Milky Way and Andromeda is not a violent crash. It is a long, flowing dance. When the two galaxies finally touch, their stars will mostly pass through each other unharmed, because space, even within galaxies, is overwhelmingly spacious. Over billions of years, the two spirals will fold, blend, and swirl together, eventually forming a new, larger galaxy, one that astronomers call Milkomeda, or simply the Milky Andromeda. Nothing about that future feels frightening. It feels natural, gentle, slow, a merging of light rather than a clash. You drift alongside Andromeda now, watching its luminous arms fade toward the edges, its halo extending outward far beyond what the eye usually sees. It is a beautiful reminder that even the largest structures in the universe move with grace. And just beyond Andromeda, deeper into the night, a vast pattern begins to emerge. The first hint of the colossal landscape you're about to enter. A place where galaxies gather in massive clusters, bound together by gravity like nations on a continent of stars. When you're ready, we will drift into that next great structure, the Virgo supercluster. Leaving Andromeda's gentle glow behind, you drift toward a faint brightness forming on the cosmic horizon, not a single galaxy this time, but the soft collective shimmer of thousands of them. It begins as a haze, a pale fog hanging in the dark. But as you float closer, the haze resolves into countless points of light, each one a galaxy with its own stars, its own history, its own quiet motion. You have reached the outer edges of the Virgo supercluster. Take a slow, easy breath. Let it fall out smoothly. You're approaching one of the grand structures of the universe, a realm spanning more than 33 megaparsecs, or roughly 110 million light-years. The viral video described it clearly, but here, in AstraFlow's calm embrace, the scale becomes something you feel rather than calculate. Imagine drifting over a continent not of land, but of galaxies, each one a city of stars glowing softly in the night. At the heart of this supercluster lies the Virgo cluster, a dense gathering of galaxies moving around each other in slow, gravitational choreography. As you float into its outskirts, the number of galaxies increases dramatically. Where the local group held only a few dozen, the Virgo supercluster holds thousands, spirals with sweeping arms, ellipticals shaped like glowing spheres, irregulars shimmering like scattered embers. From this vantage, the galaxies resemble lanterns seen from a great height, clusters of brightness floating in a vast dark sea. The space between them is immense, but their shared motion binds them together. They drift along quiet cosmic streams, drawn subtly toward one another by gravity's patient hand. You glide past a large elliptical galaxy, smooth, rounded, glowing with a soft golden hue. Its stars move in random orbits, like grains of light stirred gently in warm air. Then, not far away, you see a spiral galaxy similar to the Milky Way, its arms trailing behind it like ribbons caught in a slow cosmic wind. Each one of these galaxies contains billions of stars, yet here, surrounded by thousands of others, even a galaxy feels small. Let another breath settle in your chest. Notice how your sense of scale stretches each time you drift farther. The solar system seemed vast. The distance to Alpha Centauri felt unfathomable. The Milky Way was overwhelming in its beauty. But now, within the Virgo supercluster, these once infinite realms appear as tiny components of a much larger structure, a reminder that the universe is layered, nested, expanding in ways that exceed imagination. Clusters link to clusters, groups connect to groups, light gathers into rivers, streams, and delicate patterns. The galaxies are not scattered randomly. They form filaments, long chains of brightness weaving through vast cosmic space. Between these filaments lie enormous voids, empty regions where few galaxies exist at all. Drifting through the Virgo supercluster feels like drifting through a grand celestial tapestry. Threads of starlight twist and intertwine. Gravity guides the flow. Space curves gently, softly, as though folding itself around the clusters like a protective cloak. You sense the faint pull of something deeper still, an even larger structure, a gravitational tide that carries entire clusters along with it. This force does not rush. It moves slowly across hundreds of millions of years, but it draws everything toward a mysterious region, a hidden centre of motion. You have reached a place where the universe begins to reveal its architecture, where galaxies become mere beads on cosmic strings, and where superclusters gather into even grander formations. Ahead lies a structure vast enough to hold the Virgo supercluster within it, an immense cosmic continent called Laniakea, the immeasurable heaven. When you're ready, we will drift into that enormous realm. As you drift outward from the Virgo supercluster, you begin to sense an even grander pattern taking shape, a structure so vast, so quietly majestic, that everything you've seen until now feels like a small chapter in a larger, unfolding story. The faint glow ahead is not one cluster, not even one group of clusters, but an immense gathering of cosmic structures linked by invisible currents of gravity. You are entering Laniakea, a word that in Hawaiian means immeasurable heaven. The name feels appropriate the moment you arrive. Laniakea stretches across 500 million light-years, an expanse so enormous that even superclusters, with all their thousands of galaxies, become like tiny beads in a vast celestial necklace. Here, rivers of galaxies flow along enormous gravitational highways. Filaments, those delicate threads of starlight and matter, connect cluster to cluster, weaving together a cosmic landscape that resembles a glowing three-dimensional tapestry. Take a slow breath. Let it settle softly. Laniakea is not a place you simply look at. It's a place you feel. It has motion, direction, gravity so subtle and widespread that every galaxy within it, including the entire Virgo supercluster, drifts in the same general flow. Slow, steady, gentle, like leaves drifting along the same deep current. Within this grand structure lies a mysterious region that astronomers call the Great Attractor. The viral video spoke of it as a powerful gravitational pull, a hidden force that draws galaxies, clusters, and superclusters toward one region of the cosmos. But as you drift here in the stillness of AstraFlow, the Great Attractor feels less like a force and more like a tide, quiet, inevitable, patient. You can sense this slow pull even now. It is not a tug, not a push, but a direction, like a soft slope in the fabric of reality. Entire collections of galaxies drift toward it without hurry, following gravitational pathways etched across hundreds of millions of light-years. It is a reminder that even in the vastest scales imaginable, the universe moves with intention. Let another breath move through you. Laniakea is immense, but it does not feel chaotic. It feels organized in a way that transcends simplicity. Clusters gather like cities, filaments stretch like roads, voids open like quiet plains. You are drifting across a continent of galaxies, each one a luminous city of stars, each city filled with billions of suns and worlds, each world holding its own possibilities. From this vantage, the Milky Way is a mere grain of light, Andromeda another. The entire local group becomes a point so small it nearly disappears. Even the Virgo supercluster, with all its thousands of galaxies, shrinks into a faint thread gliding along the flow of Laniakea's immense gravitational rivers. And yet, none of this feels overwhelming. The scale has grown beyond numbers. It has become texture, presence, rhythm. You're drifting through something ancient and peaceful, something that moves so slowly, so gently, that it feels like the universe itself is sleeping. Laniakea shows you that the cosmos is not random. It is shaped, connected, alive with structure. And at this incomprehensible scale, everything you've travelled through suddenly aligns. The Milky Way, the local group, the Virgo supercluster, all part of a far larger whole. Ahead, the structure begins to thin. Laniakea stretches toward its edges where filaments fade into soft darkness. Beyond it lies an even grander pattern, the cosmic web itself. the universe's full architecture spanning billions of light years. When you're ready, we will drift into that magnificent expanse where galaxies thread together like luminous veins and the true shape of the universe reveals itself. Leaving the gentle gravitational flow of Leniakia behind, you drift into a realm where the universe's grand design becomes unmistakable. The darkness ahead is no longer uniform, it begins to shimmer, faint lines glowing like threads in an enormous tapestry. These are not stars, not galaxies, not clusters. They are the filaments of the cosmic web, the vast architecture of the universe revealed at the greatest scales we can imagine. Take a slow, steady breath. Allow the vision to unfold. From this vantage, billions of light years wide, the universe resembles a glowing neural network, a lattice of light stretching in every direction. Filaments of galaxies weave through the darkness like strands of silk. Between them lie enormous voids, vast pockets of near nothingness so large that entire galaxy clusters could disappear within their emptiness. The viral video touched on this structure, but seeing it in AstraFlow's softer night reveals its peaceful geometric beauty. Each filament contains thousands of galaxies. They gather along these luminous lines the way dew gathers on a spider's web, pulled into place by gravity's quiet, persistent hand. The filaments meet at nodes, dense intersections where superclusters like Virgo and regions like Leniakia converge. These nodes glow with a deeper brightness, like lanterns at crossroads. As you drift along one of the filaments, you can see galaxies arranged in long, delicate chains, each one shining softly in the dark. They move together through the quiet currents of expanding space, separated by millions of light years yet bound by the same structure. Gravity threads through every filament, connecting the universe the way rivers connect continents. Let your breath flow gently in and out. The cosmic web is vast, but its pattern feels soothing, organized, elegant, almost meditative. It shows that even the universe's largest structures have a kind of quiet symmetry. From far above, the web looks like an intricate watercolor, blotches of brightness connected by faint strokes, surrounded by gentle shadows. But from within, it feels intimate, almost fragile. The filaments are immensely long compared to their thickness. They are like cosmic highways stretching across billions of light years, yet only a few tens of millions wide. You drift through a branching point where one filament splits into two. The motion is subtle, like watching the forking paths of a river seen from far above. Stars, clusters, and entire galaxies flow along these branches, slow, steady currents shaped by dark matter, the invisible framework that supports this entire structure. Take another slow breath. Notice how the cosmic web mirrors structures found in nature: tree roots, neural pathways, river deltas, the veins of leaves. At the largest scale, the universe creates patterns that echo the smallest. This symmetry, this resonance, brings a sense of calm, a sense that everything, large and small, follows similar rhythms. The darkness between the filaments is profound but not frightening. It creates space for the light to shine. These voids are not empty failures of creation. They are part of the balance, regions where the universe rests, gathers, breathes. As you drift farther along the filament, the web stretches endlessly around you. Billions of galaxies arranged in delicate webs, all moving, all expanding, all connected. And you understand something quietly profound. The universe is not random. It is structured, balanced, held together by invisible harmonies. Ahead, the web begins to fade gently into deeper darkness. You're approaching one of the most mysterious regions in all of existence, the vast, quiet cosmic voids, where light becomes scarce and silence becomes infinite. When you're ready, we will enter those tranquil expanses and feel the deepest stillness the universe has to offer. As you drift away from the luminous filaments of the cosmic web, the universe changes once more. The threads of galaxies thin, The shimmering intersections fade. The gentle glow of clustered starlight becomes distant and sparse. Ahead lies a region unlike any you've entered so far, one of the most tranquil and mysterious spaces in the cosmos. This is a cosmic void. Take a slow breath. Let it ease out. The stillness deepens. Cosmic voids are not small. The viral video described them as enormous pockets of space, regions where galaxies are astonishingly rare. Some voids stretch tens or even hundreds of millions of light years across, and yet, despite their size, they do not feel empty in a frightening way. They feel serene, like walking into a clearing in a quiet forest after leaving behind a busy winding trail. You drift into this silence, and the first thing you notice is how open it feels. There are no nearby galaxies pulling your attention, no clusters glowing in the dark, no filaments stretching across your field of view, just a deep, gentle black, smooth, unbroken, infinite, a place where space seems to rest. Here, light travels without interruption for unfathomable distances. A photon released by a distant star may cross an entire void without touching even a single atom. And yet, the darkness is not cold or hostile. It feels soft, like velvet stretched across an endless room. It's as though the universe needed places like this, spaces for quiet, spaces for pause, spaces for breath. Let that stillness move through you. Cosmic voids are meditative by their very nature. With so few galaxies, the gravitational motions are faint, subtle, delicate. Everything here is slower. Everything is softer. It is a region defined not by presence but by absence, and in that absence a rare kind of calm emerges. Imagine floating on a gentle lake at night. No waves, no wind. Only the mirror-like surface stretching into the distance. A cosmic void feels like that. An expanse so still that even your thoughts become quieter. You sense the universe breathing differently here. Longer inhales, longer exhales, fewer interruptions. Occasionally a lone galaxy drifts on the far horizon of the void. Small, isolated, glowing with a faint resilience. These are galaxies born in solitude, shaped by environments unlike the crowded, bustling regions of clusters. They move without companions, without close neighbours, without the gravitational tides that shape more populous regions. Their quiet existence mirrors the void around them. Slow, gentle, contemplative. You drift deeper, and the void expands endlessly in all directions. The vastness becomes less a distance and more a sensation, an inner stillness, a widening of space within the mind. Here, the universe reveals its softer side. Not everything is shaped by light and motion. Some parts are shaped by silence. Take another slow breath. Feel the way the void relaxes the edges of your awareness, loosening the grip of thought and expectation. The absence of galaxies creates room for the mind to expand, to drift freely, to settle into calm. And yet, even here, in this immense silence, the universe continues to unfold. Beyond the voids lie the limits of what we can see, the outer edge of the observable universe, defined not by distance, but by time itself. When you are ready, we will drift toward that boundary, toward the horizon where ancient light meets the expanding dark. Leaving the cosmic void behind, you drift into a region where the universe begins to reveal one of its most beautiful truths. The farthest places we can see are not defined by distance, but by time. In everyday life you see things as they are now. A tree, a streetlight, a cloud. But in the cosmos, now does not exist in the same way. Everything you see is a memory carried by light. A star 100 light years away shows you its past from a century ago. A galaxy millions of light years away shows you a moment older than humanity itself. Space is not a map of locations. It is a timeline stretched across darkness. Take a slow breath. Let that perspective soften into you. Ahead, faint light gathers into a delicate spherical boundary. Not a physical shell, not a wall, but a limit of visibility, the farthest distance from which light has had time to reach us since the universe began. This region is known as the observable universe. The viral video described it with striking clarity. Even though the universe is 13.8 billion years old, its observable radius is about 46 billion light-years, making the visible span roughly 93 billion light-years across. That number seems impossible at first, but the explanation is soft, elegant. While light travels toward us, space itself expands, stretching distances as the photons move. Like paint spreading on a balloon, the canvas grows even as the colour flows. What you see at the observable horizon, therefore, is not the far edge of space, but the farthest past whose light has finally arrived. Let that sink in gently without urgency. As you drift nearer to this conceptual boundary, the light becomes older, dimmer, softer, whispers from galaxies that existed when the universe was young. You're not approaching a place, you're approaching a time. Here, the cosmos becomes a kind of memory palace. The nearest stars are modern, the distant galaxies are ancient. And the faintest glow, the almost imperceptible fog of microwave radiation, is a relic from when the universe was only 380,000 years old, long before stars or planets existed. Time stretches here, becoming almost tangible. Light from the early universe has been travelling for nearly 14 billion years, yet the space it crossed has expanded to many times that size. You're witnessing the result of both motion and growth, like moving through a fabric that stretches beneath it. Take another slow breath. Feel the way this concept widens your awareness. It shifts your sense of far into something deeper, more meditative. Far becomes long ago. Distance becomes memory. Horizon becomes history written in light. The boundary of the observable universe is not the edge of existence. It is simply the edge of what can reach us. Beyond it, space continues. Galaxies expand away faster than their light can ever travel back toward us. Those realms will remain forever unseen, not because they are hidden, but because time will never allow their stories to reach our eyes. Yet this limit is not something to mourn. It is something to appreciate. It reminds us that even the most distant light we can observe is a gift, one that has crossed expanding darkness for billions of years just to reach this moment. Ahead, the glow of this ancient horizon deepens. You're approaching the birthplace of light itself. When you're ready, we will drift toward the moment when the universe first became transparent, the beginning of cosmic memory. As you hover near the edge of the observable universe, another quiet realization begins to rise, one that reshapes how you understand everything you've drifted through tonight. The horizon you see is not fixed. It is not still. It is stretching, expanding, breathing outward with the fabric of space itself. The universe is growing, not like a balloon swelling under pressure, but like a soft tide flowing in all directions at once. Take a slow breath. Let it widen gently in your chest. This is the rhythm the universe follows. The viral video shared a striking truth. Somewhere far beyond our ability to see, entire regions of the universe are moving away from us faster than light. At first, that sounds impossible. Nothing can move through space faster than light. But here's the calm, elegant secret. Space itself can expand. Objects resting on that expanding fabric simply drift apart without violating any cosmic speed limits. Imagine drawing two dots on a balloon. As the balloon inflates, the dots move farther apart, not because the dots are travelling across its surface, but because the surface itself is stretching. The dots do nothing. The balloon does everything. The universe works in much the same way. Galaxies are not racing through space at impossible speeds. Space, the fabric of reality, is stretching between them. And the farther away a galaxy lies, the faster the expansion carries it from us. At great enough distances, that recession becomes faster than light. Let that settle softly. Not as a puzzle, as a feeling. This means there are galaxies we will never see, not because they lack light, but because their light is being swept away by expansion faster than it can travel toward us. Their stories will never cross the stretching fabric to reach our eyes. These galaxies continue their own quiet evolution, forming stars, drifting, merging, glowing softly in darkness. But they do so in worlds forever beyond our reach, and yet there is no sadness in this thought, only serenity. The universe is not designed to be fully known. It is designed to be immense, generous, open, a canvas so expansive that mystery itself becomes part of the beauty. As you drift through this region near the observable horizon, you can almost sense the expansion, not as motion, but as a gentle pressure, like the feeling of inhaling deeply after a long time. Everything stretches, everything flows forward. Even the space between galaxies you saw earlier is slowly widening. The cosmic web itself is expanding, though its threads remain bound by gravity. Your breath mirrors that motion, slow, steady, expanding on the inhale, softening on the exhale. Cosmic expansion is not chaotic. It is calm, predictable, rhythmic. It is the universe breathing on the grandest possible scale. And because of this expansion, the observable universe continues to grow. Not because light travels farther, but because space stretches beneath that light, carrying more distant regions into view. Over billions of years, the cosmos has widened like an opening flower, revealing more of its petals with every passing epoch. Take one more gentle breath. Feel how the cosmos itself seems to inhale and exhale with you. Though galaxies may slip beyond our horizon, the universe remains full of light, some ancient, some unborn, all carried along by the quiet tide of expansion. Ahead, the faintest glow of all begins to rise, the soft afterglow of the universe's earliest moment. A whisper of ancient warmth that has stretched across 13.8 billion years to greet you here. When you are ready, we'll drift into the cosmic microwave whisper, the oldest light in existence. Floating near the edge of the observable universe, you begin to notice a soft glow rising from every direction at once. Not bright, not sharp, but gentle, uniform, like the faint warmth left in the air after a long day. It surrounds you evenly, without shadows, without flicker, without source. This is not light from stars or galaxies, it is far older, so old that nothing in the modern universe comes close to matching its age. This is the cosmic microwave background, the oldest whisper of light. Take a slow breath. Let the air melt out of your lungs. This light has been travelling for 13.8 billion years. The viral video described it as the afterglow of the Big Bang, and that description is true. But here, in the quiet of AstraFlow's night, the phrase takes on a softer meaning. The CMB is not an explosion frozen in time. It is a memory, a warm echo of the universe when it was young, hot, and filled with a dense fog of particles. In that early era, light could not travel freely. It scattered endlessly, unable to escape the thick plasma. But then something changed. As the universe expanded, it cooled. And at around 380,000 years old, an infant on cosmic timescales, the fog lifted. The universe became transparent. Light finally slipped free and began its long journey through the vastness. You're seeing that moment now, stretched thin by expansion into soft microwaves, cooled to just a few degrees above absolute zero. It feels like standing at the edge of time. The glow around you is remarkably even, but not perfectly so. Subtle variations, tiny ripples in temperature no bigger than a few millionths of a degree, drift quietly across the background. These faint fluctuations were the seeds of everything: galaxies, clusters, cosmic filaments. They are the fingerprints of the universe's earlier structure, the gentle unevenness that allowed matter to gather and form the stars that would someday nurture life. Let that realization settle gently inside you. Every atom in your body, every breath you take, every thought you've ever had, all of it can trace its origins back to these faint ripples. As you float in this ancient light, the darkness around you becomes softer, almost warm. The CMB isn't bright, but it's everywhere. No matter where you look, it greets you with the same uniform glow. It is the universe's quiet reminder that all things were once connected. All matter was once part of one luminous sea. Take another slow breath. You're drifting inside the oldest photograph ever taken, one written in microwave radiation across the entire sky. This image is not made of stars, it is made of time. Scientists have mapped this faint glow with exquisite precision, decoding the universe's age, shape, and composition from its patterns. But you don't need equations to understand it. Its meaning is simple and peaceful. The universe remembers its beginning, and in this remembrance there is no urgency, only calm expansion, quiet unfolding, a slow transition from heat to light to the vast cool night you drift through now. Ahead, this ancient glow begins to thin. You're moving from the earliest visible moment into a region where the universe becomes too young to be seen directly, too opaque, too hot. But there is still more to understand, more layers to explore, more stories written in faint primordial light. When you're ready, we will drift toward the next chapter, how this early glow helped scientists map the universe and understand its grand shape. The soft microwave glow continues to surround you as you drift gently forward, its warmth fading only by degrees too small to feel. You're still swimming in the afterglow of creation itself, a glow that holds clues about the universe's youth, its shape, its destiny. This light is more than a whisper. It is a map, and as you move through it, the patterns begin to reveal themselves. Take a slow breath. Let it settle deep. You're witnessing the earliest visible chapter of the cosmos. Scientists have studied this ancient glow in remarkable detail. Tiny fluctuations, ripples of slightly warmer and cooler spots, are sprinkled across the cosmic microwave background. To the human eye, they might seem insignificant, like faint grain on an old photograph. But in these ripples lies the blueprint of the universe. Each fluctuation is a clue, a marker of how matter was distributed when the cosmos was still young. Some regions held a little more mass, others a little less. Gravity tugged on these variations over billions of years, pulling some areas into galaxies, clusters and filaments, while leaving other regions as vast, quiet voids. The entire cosmic web you drifted through earlier began right here, in these gentle ripples in the oldest light. Let the thought soften into you. The universe we see today, with its spirals and clusters and quiet expanses, was born from the faintest of differences. The patterns in this ancient light also reveal something else, the shape of the universe itself. Scientists examined the fluctuations and discovered that space, on the largest scales, is remarkably flat, not curved inward like a sphere or outward like a saddle, but balanced, smooth, stretching in every direction without bending. In AstraFlow's gentle quiet, this flatness feels peaceful, like a calm lake undisturbed by wind. This flatness has profound meaning. It suggests that the universe may be vastly larger than the observable portion, perhaps infinite, extending far beyond the horizon of what light can reach. The viral video hinted at this unknowable immensity, and here, in this soft, drifting perspective, you can feel its truth. The observable universe is only the slice we can see. Beyond it lies a realm where ancient light will never reach us, where galaxies drift in silence beyond time's visible boundary. Take another slow, steady breath. Inhale the calm of this realization. Space is vast, Not just outward, but conceptually, philosophically, emotionally. You don't need to hold that vastness tightly. Just let it wash through you like a slow-moving tide. The oldest light also tells us the age of the universe, about 13 to 8 billion years. You are drifting inside the evidence of that age, wrapped in the faint glow of the universe's transition from opaque plasma to transparent space. And while this number carries immense weight scientifically, it carries a gentle emotional truth as well. All things grow from earlier moments. Even the cosmos began in warmth, then cooled, then expanded into its current splendor. The ancient glow begins to thin now. The temperature returns to the quiet cold of intergalactic space. You are leaving behind the earliest visible era and drifting back into the more familiar dark. The dark that is shaped not by primordial echoes, but by the evolution of galaxies and the structure of the cosmos. Ahead lies one of the universe's great mysteries, one that sits at the edge of comprehension. Is the universe infinite? Or does it simply expand beyond anything we can reach? When you are ready, we will drift into that question, exploring the possibility of endlessness with gentle curiosity. As the faint glow of the oldest light fades behind you, the universe returns to its familiar quiet darkness, vast, open, and softly illuminated by distant galaxies scattered like lanterns across an endless night. You drift through this stillness with ease, and in the calm that follows, a question rises naturally. A question as old as human wonder itself. Does the universe have an edge, or does it continue forever? Take a slow, easy breath. Let your mind widen gently, like a ripple expanding across still water. Infinity is a difficult concept. Not because it is complicated, but because it refuses to fit inside the spaces of thought we use for everyday life. We are used to boundaries, walls, horizons, endings. Even the ocean, vast and ancient as it is, eventually meets a shore. But the universe may not. The cosmic microwave background, the ancient glow you just drifted through, gives us the farthest moment we can see. But beyond that glow, space likely continues, not in a straight predictable line, but in a vast expanse where galaxies drift farther and farther away, some at speeds that ensure their light will never reach us. The viral video hinted at this truth. The observable universe is not the whole universe, it is only the portion whose light has had time to arrive. Everything beyond that horizon remains hidden, not because it isn't there, but because the universe is too young and expansion too swift for its stories to reach us. Let that realization settle softly. You are drifting in a cosmos that could be boundless. Scientists debate the nature of this boundlessness. Some theories suggest the universe is genuinely infinite, extending outward forever, with no end, no boundary, no last star. Others propose that the universe may be finite but unbounded, like the surface of a sphere, curving in on itself so subtly that travelling in one direction forever might eventually bring you back to where you began, without ever encountering an edge. In AstraFlow's gentle silence, both possibilities feel peaceful. One offers infinite extension, the other offers a quiet circularity. Neither is frightening. Both are beautiful. Take another slow breath. Imagine drifting in a universe with no outer walls, only more space unfolding with every step, like a meadow stretching beyond sight. Or imagine a cosmos curved so smoothly that you could travel eternally without ever reaching a border. Infinity, in either form, is not a problem to solve. It is a feeling, a widening, a soft opening, a deep exhale of perspective. Even the galaxies passing quietly around you carry hints of this vastness. Their distribution becomes uniform at the largest scales. No patterns repeat. No edges appear. The cosmic web extends until it blends into its own rhythm, a fractal-like balance of structure and emptiness, and you, drifting in the centre of it, feel neither lost nor small, only present, only aware, only part of something immeasurably large and immeasurably calm. Infinity is not meant to overwhelm the mind. It is meant to free it, to loosen the boundaries of what you imagine possible, to show you that your thoughts, like light, can stretch outward endlessly. Ahead, another question begins to form, one tied not to distance but to meaning. If the universe is so vast, so old, so intricate, where do we fit into it? What does consciousness mean in a cosmos that spans billions of light years? When you're ready, we will drift into that deeper wonder, where science meets introspection, and where the universe begins to feel like a reflection of the mind itself. As you drift through the soft possibility of infinity, another realization begins to settle around you, quiet, delicate, profound. The light reaching your eyes from the stars is not a message from this moment. It is a message from moments long gone. Some of the stars you see shining gently in the dark may no longer exist at all. Take a slow, restful breath. Let it release like a long sigh. In everyday life, we are anchored in the present. The tree outside your window, the sound of a passing car, the warmth of a cup in your hand, these things feel immediate, real now. But in the universe, now becomes a much looser idea. Distance stretches time, and time stretches memory. The farther away a star is, the older the version of itself that you see. A star 100 light-years away is showing you what it looked like a century ago. A star 1,000 light-years away reveals a scene from 1,000 years in the past. Some distant galaxies offer glimpses of themselves from billions of years ago, before Earth even existed. And here, in this gentle drift through cosmic darkness, that concept feels more poetic than strange. The night sky is not a display of the present. It is a gallery of ancient portraits. You may be looking at a star that lived its entire life, burned its final fuel, collapsed, and vanished, all before its last rays of light reached you. What you see is its memory, still travelling, still shining, still carrying the echo of a moment that has long since passed. Let that soften your awareness. The universe is full of these quiet ghosts of light, beautiful remnants of existence that continue long after the objects that created them have changed or faded. There is no sadness in this, only a gentle truth. Light persists. Even after stars die, their final messages continue moving across the cosmos, touching worlds they will never know. Light is patient. It does not rush. It takes its time, crossing unimaginable distances to deliver stories from ages long gone. In a way, you yourself are made of old light. The atoms in your body were forged in the hearts of ancient stars, stars that lived, died, and spread their elements across the galaxy long before Earth formed. You're built from stardust, from past events so distant that they feel like myths whispered across billions of years. Take another slow breath. Feel how that truth warms you rather than overwhelms you. Time, on cosmic scales, is not harsh. It is soft, expansive, full of room for transformation. The stars you pass now glow steadily, but each one holds a layered history. Moments of birth, moments of change, moments of fading, moments of renewal. Some of the light you see began its journey when dinosaurs walked Earth. Some began when Earth was still molten, some predates our sun itself. You drift through these rays the way one drifts through memories, aware that each is a reflection of something that once was, not necessarily something that still is. And that is part of the beauty. The universe does not show us everything as it is. It shows us everything as it was. Ahead, the darkness begins to deepen once more. You are moving into a region where these ancient lights grow faint, where galaxies become smudges, and where mystery grows thicker. But rather than fear, you feel awe, because every beam of light you see, no matter how old, has survived an unimaginable journey to meet you here. When you're ready, we will drift into the next chapter, how we measure the unmeasurable, how we read these ancient lights to understand the size, age, and shape of the universe itself. Drifting among rays of ancient starlight, you begin to sense the vast challenge that astronomers face. How do you measure something so large that its boundaries dissolve into expanding darkness? How do you map a cosmos in which every point of reference is both moving and ancient? How do you make sense of distances that stretch across millions, billions, even trillions of kilometers? Take a gentle breath, in and out, as slowly as light crossing space. To measure the universe, scientists rely not on rulers or landmarks, but on light itself, on the stories it carries, on the ways it stretches and shifts as it travels across the dark. Light becomes a guide, a narrator, a friend. And through its behaviours, we uncover the scale of the cosmos. The first tool is something called a standard candle, a star or cosmic event whose brightness is known. Some stars, like Type Ia supernovae, explode with predictable luminosity. Others, like Cepheid variable stars, pulse with rhythms tied to their true brightness. By comparing how bright they should appear with how dim they do appear from Earth, scientists can estimate their distance. It's like seeing a lantern across a wide field. If you know how bright the lantern truly is, the softness of its glow tells you how far away it must be. Another tool is redshift, the stretching of light as the universe expands. As galaxies drift away from us on the swelling fabric of space, their light becomes redder, stretched into longer wavelengths. The farther the galaxy, the greater the redshift. It is not a measure of speed in the usual sense. It is a measure of expansion, an imprint left on light by the universe's own growth. Let that idea settle softly. Light carries not just colour, but distance. Not just distance, but time. Not just time, but the motion of the cosmos itself. Take another slow breath. Feel how cosmic measurement becomes more art than arithmetic. An interpretation of subtle signals written across billions of years. There are other methods too. Parallax, where nearby stars shift slightly against the background as Earth orbits the Sun, like watching a tree move relative to distant mountains as you walk. Gravitational lensing, where massive objects bend the light of galaxies behind them, creating arcs and distortions that reveal both distance and mass. Cosmic geometry, which uses the patterns in the oldest light, the cosmic microwave background, to infer the shape of space itself. But all these methods share something gentle and profound. They read the universe the way one reads the rings of an old tree, slowly, carefully, knowing that each layer holds a story of time, growth, and change. Measuring the universe is not about conquering scale. It is about listening to the signals that drift toward us, honouring the patience of light, and accepting that some distances will always remain mysterious. And yet, through these quiet techniques, we build a bridge of understanding, one that spans unimaginable gulfs. A bridge made entirely from observation, curiosity, and the willingness to look outward with steady, open wonder. Ahead, the cosmos begins to shift again. These vast stretches of structure and silence invite not just measurement but reflection. We are approaching a portion of our journey where science blends seamlessly into philosophy, where facts become metaphors and the universe becomes a mirror for our inner worlds. When you are ready, we will drift into that deeper region, the space where knowledge opens gently into meaning. By now, you have drifted through distances so vast that words barely hold their shape. You have moved beyond planets, stars, galaxies, clusters and superclusters, past structures woven across hundreds of millions of light years, into regions where even the universe's own light begins to thin. And somewhere along this journey a quiet question begins to rise, not from the cosmos, but from within you. What does big actually mean? Take a slow, unhurried breath. Let the air move in, then out, like a gentle tide washing across a quiet shore. When we speak of big on Earth, we think of mountains, oceans, distances that take hours or days to cross. But out here, those meanings dissolve. A mountain is small, an ocean is tiny, even the earth itself, a world full of life, colour, memory and story, becomes a pale dot, nearly invisible from only a few billion kilometres away. Yet, in another sense, Earth is enormous. It is everything you've ever touched, loved, seen, or known. Every human moment unfolds on its surface like threads woven into a single, intricate tapestry. Your entire personal universe exists within that small sphere. Big begins to feel relative, a shifting, fluid concept. Consider your breath. Small, gentle, almost imperceptible compared to the cosmos. And yet your breath shapes the reality of your inner world, calming your heart, steadying your thoughts, anchoring your awareness. Your inner universe is vast too, but in a different way. Let that realization soften into you. Size is not just physical, it is experiential. A galaxy may hold 100 billion stars, but a single quiet moment, a memory, a feeling, a song that once touched you, can feel just as expansive. As you float through this extraordinary expanse of intergalactic darkness, the boundaries between large and small begin to blur. Your thoughts can span the distance between galaxies in an instant. Your imagination can embrace the cosmic web with ease. The mind is not limited by kilometers or light years. It drifts effortlessly across scales, from the tiniest particles to the largest structures ever discovered. And in this calm drifting, another truth emerges. The universe is big because we are capable of wondering about it. Without awareness, size would have no meaning. Without curiosity, distance would have no measure. It is because you can question the vastness that the vastness becomes real. Take another slow breath. Feel how your awareness expands and contracts, just like the universe itself. Feel how the cosmos outside mirrors the cosmos within, both full of dark spaces, bright sparks, mysteries, memories, and quiet openings. What does big mean? It means the ability to hold something in your mind even if it cannot fit in your hands. It means recognizing that your smallness does not diminish your significance. It means that wonder is not bound by size. It flows freely, like light, across every scale. The universe is big. But your capacity to feel wonder, to reflect, imagine, and dream is vast in its own way. Ahead, the journey turns even more inward. You're approaching the realm where the universe stops being just a physical place and becomes a mirror, gently reflecting the nature of consciousness itself. When you're ready, we will drift into the next layer of wonder, infinity as a feeling, not a number. As you continue drifting through the quiet sea between galaxies, the distances have grown so large, so smooth, so gentle, that numbers begin to lose their meaning. Billions, trillions, quadrillions. These words dissolve like mist. The mind can say them, but it cannot hold them. And in this soft loosening of scale, something beautiful happens. Infinity stops being a measurement and becomes a feeling. Take a slow breath. Let it widen behind your ribs like the night sky expanding overhead. Infinity is not a wall. It is not a distant border. It is the sense that no matter how far you drift, there is always farther to go, not in a burdensome way, but in a spacious, liberating one. Think of the sky you see from Earth on a clear night. Even from the ground, even within a city, even with clouds passing through, the sky feels endless. You don't count the stars. You feel them, their presence, their silence, their mystery. Out here, drifting through the faint glow of galaxies billions of light years away, that feeling deepens. Infinity becomes the soft recognition that existence extends beyond the edges of your imagination, yet never demands that you understand it all. Infinity is not a task, it is an invitation. take another gentle breath. Feel how that thought relaxes your mind. Many people imagine infinity as a straight line extending forever, but in the universe, infinity has texture, it has rhythm. It feels more like an ocean with no far shore where each wave reveals a bit more of the horizon, not to overwhelm you, but to remind you that you're free to keep drifting. Infinity is the realization that there is always more to learn, more to see, more to wonder about. It offers both humility and comfort. You are part of something immense, but you are never expected to grasp it all. Your breath mirrors this thought. It flows outward without end and returns inward without struggle. A small, personal version of expansion and contraction. Your own quiet cycle of infinity. Even the universe itself follows this pattern. It expands into more space, creates more possibilities, unfolds more complexity, and yet never rushes. It moves slowly, softly, endlessly. Infinity is not chaos. It is calm. It is the spaciousness that gives everything room to be. As you drift deeper into this awareness, the galaxies around you seem to glow a little more gently. You notice how they stretch into the distance until they blur into a faint, diffuse haze. You sense how each point of light is both singular and connected. A reminder that the infinite is built from countless small certainties. Infinity is the quiet reassurance that there is room enough for all things, for stars to form, for galaxies to drift, for life to flourish, for questions to unfold. And within that vast room your thoughts can rest, your curiosity can breathe, your mind can expand without pressure, opening like a soft flower beneath starlight. Ahead, a new wonder begins to rise, one that connects the vastness of the universe with the quiet depth of the mind. When you're ready, we will drift into the idea that the universe, in some mysterious way, may be remembering itself through you. As you continue drifting through the vast stillness, a new awareness settles into you. Quiet, subtle, almost like a whisper rising from the dark. You've travelled across unimaginable distances. You've passed stars and galaxies, filaments and voids, ancient light and horizons defined by time. And now, floating in this calm expanse, a simple but profound thought comes forward. What if the universe is not something outside of you, but something that is also looking through you? Take a slow breath, soft and steady. Feel the gentle widening inside your chest. Human consciousness, the awareness you feel right now, the ability to know you are drifting, imagining, wondering, is one of the rarest phenomena we know. Stars do not ponder their own brightness. Galaxies do not question their shape. But you can contemplate the infinite. You can hold galaxies in your thoughts as easily as you hold memories. You can drift across billions of light years in a single moment of imagination. It is as if the universe, through you, has found a way to reflect on itself. Every atom in your body was once part of a star. Every breath you take is filled with particles forged in ancient suns. Your blood carries iron born from supernova explosions. Your bones hold calcium that once drifted freely in space. Even your thoughts, the electrical impulses in your brain, depend on elements created in the hearts of stars long gone. You're not separate from the universe. You're made of it. You're made from it. Let that idea settle, gently, without expectation. It does not mean you must understand everything. It means you belong in the grandest way imaginable. When a star shines, it does so without awareness. But when you gaze at a star, something remarkable happens. Awareness flows in both directions. The star shines outward, and the mind receives the light, transforms it into meaning, into wonder, into reflection. In that moment, you become the way the universe feels its own light. Take another slow breath. Let it move like a small wave through your body. Feel how awareness spreads gently without force. Across cosmic history, consciousness is rare. It blooms only in certain places under gentle conditions, where matter gathers just right, where time allows complexity to rise, where life emerges and begins to notice itself. You are one of those places, a point of awareness in a sea of galaxies, a tiny flame, but a real one. Your ability to imagine the universe makes you part of its unfolding story. In this sense, the universe remembers itself through you, not as a mind with intention, but as a process of reflection, as a moment of awareness rising from stardust, as a brief but luminous pause where matter becomes mindful. You drift here, in darkness filled with light, and your presence, your noticing, your wondering, gives the cosmos a way to see its own vastness. There is something peaceful in that, something grounding. You do not need to carry the whole universe in your thoughts. You only need to feel the quiet truth that you are woven from the same threads. Ahead, the darkness softens. A new idea begins to form, one where light becomes memory and darkness becomes rest. When you're ready, we will drift into that next reflection. As you drift deeper into the stillness, something subtle shifts in the way you see the universe. Until now, the journey has been filled with stars, great rivers of light, clusters glowing like distant embers, galaxies shining across billions of years. But the farther you drift, the more you begin to notice something else, something just as important and just as beautiful, the darkness. Take a soft, slow breath. Let it settle, unhurried. Out here, darkness is not emptiness. It is not the absence of meaning, nor the absence of warmth. It is space, pure space, allowing light to travel, expand, and tell its stories. It is the quiet canvas on which the universe paints its memories. Every point of light you've seen tonight, from nearby stars to ancient galaxies, carries a history within it. Light is memory. It travels across unimaginable distances, carrying with it the record of moments long gone. It shows you things not as they are now, but as they were. Every star you've glimpsed is a time capsule, delivering its story through darkness. The darkness, then, is not the opposite of light. It is the medium through which memory travels. Let that soften into your awareness. Darkness is rest. Darkness is calm. Darkness is space, the pause between heartbeats, the silence between notes in a song, the room that allows light to be seen at all. Without darkness, starlight would lose its meaning. Without silence, music would blur into noise. Without stillness, motion would have no direction. Many people imagine space as a void, an emptiness. But as you float here, wrapped in its gentle quiet, the truth becomes clear. Darkness is a form of cosmic peace. It is the universe breathing out. Light is the universe breathing in. Every galaxy shines because it is surrounded by this vast, patient rest. Every beam of starlight exists because darkness gives it room to travel. Every nebula glows softly because the void around it allows its light to bloom. Take another slow breath. Notice how your inhale is like gathering light, and your exhale is like settling into darkness. Both are necessary. Both are part of a single, balanced rhythm. The universe follows that rhythm too. Stars ignite, blaze and fade. Galaxies brighten, expand and drift apart. Light travels outward, and darkness opens to receive it. You drift through this harmony, held by both sides of the cosmic breath. The light around you, ancient, delicate, is memory. The darkness around you, vast, soft, is rest. Within this balance, everything has its place. The brightest stars require the deepest night. The loudest events leave behind the quietest echoes. The largest structures emerge from the deepest stillness, and in the same way, your own inner universe follows similar rhythms. Moments of brightness, moments of quiet, moments of remembering, moments of resting. The cosmos is not only outside you. It is mirrored within you. Its patterns echo in your breath, your thoughts, your quietest feelings. Ahead, as the journey begins to turn gently toward home, a final reflection rises, a return to the question that started this entire voyage. How big is the universe, truly? And what does that vastness mean when seen through the calm lens of perspective? When you're ready, we will drift into the closing chapters of this cosmic journey, toward understanding, completion, and the tranquil return to our small luminous world. You have drifted through distances that words can barely hold. You've wandered beyond planets, beyond stars, beyond entire galaxies, past clusters, superclusters, cosmic filaments, and into the quiet breath of the universe itself. And now, as the boundless darkness softens around you, the journey begins its slow, gentle return. Take a long, unhurried breath. Let it flow through you like a tide pulling back toward the shore. From this quiet vantage point at the edge of the observable universe, you look back, not with your eyes, but with something softer. You see the path you travelled, the glow of galaxies forming threads, the vast cosmic voids, the shimmering river of the Milky Way, the warm lantern of the sun. You see Earth, tiny and delicate, glowing faintly in the dark. And with that view, the question that began this journey rises again. How big is the universe? The answer is not a number. It is not a measurement or a map. Out here in the calm, slowly turning darkness, the size of the universe feels less like a quantity and more like a truth folded gently into everything. The universe is big enough to hold billions of galaxies, and small enough for a single human breath to mirror its rhythm. It is big enough to stretch time itself, and small enough that your awareness can drift across it effortlessly. It is big enough to continue beyond the reach of a light, and small enough to be reflected in your quietest thoughts. Let the thoughts settle softly. The universe is vast, yes, immeasurably, incomprehensibly vast. But the wonder you feel while drifting through it, that wonder fits perfectly inside you. You begin to move inward now, gently, like a leaf floating back down through layers of wind. The cosmic web fades into soft filaments. Superclusters dissolve into faint glows. Laniakea becomes a distant shimmer. The Virgo supercluster shrinks into a cluster of lanterns. The local group becomes a small family of drifting galaxies. The Milky Way grows bright again, its spiral arms curling softly through space like a slow cosmic breath. Drifting closer still, you pass through the Orion Arm, the thin river of stars that carries our sun along its patient orbit. You glide past the human radio bubble, faint, fragile, a century-wide whisper of our existence. You return to the solar system, where planets drift like glowing beads on invisible threads. Neptune's frozen winds, Saturn's golden rings, Jupiter's swirling storms, Mars, the red lantern, the moon, quiet and pale in the dark, and then Earth, your home, your small blue dot. Take another slow breath. Feel the gentle gravity of home pulling into your awareness. As you look at Earth from this peaceful vantage point, you see its oceans and continents, its clouds and storms, its nightlights and silent forests. But you also see something deeper. Every memory you hold, every person you care about, every moment that has shaped your life. After drifting through the nearly infinite, you realize something quietly profound. You do not need the whole universe to feel wonder. It is already inside you. The journey outward was always a journey inward as well. The cosmos mirrors your own depth, your own quietness, your own capacity for awe. And with that understanding resting softly within you, the voyage comes to a close. Everything you've seen, everything you've felt settles like starlight at the bottom of a calm lake. Now, gently, peacefully, you return, carrying the universe inside your breath. Everything flows, sleep in that motion.